Peace, people. All right, get set up here. We actually on the Google Hangouts. All right, so what we're gonna do tonight. So what I want to start doing, if you actually, I did this like a month or two ago with Jack when I had Jack on live. If I get a hold of him tonight, I'll bring him in. If you want to come in and ask a question, I could actually bring you in, and you could actually ask a question. So we're going to try that. Let me get chat set up. I have to run the chat from a different device. Actually, ask a question. Right, so hold on one second. So we're going to try that. Let me get turn the volume down. Chat. All right. Peace. So that's the only thing. You have to use a separate device for the chat. So being that this is on Hangouts, I could actually bring somebody on live. If you want to ask a question, you just need to send me your Google Hangouts ID or type it in to the chat, and then I can send you a link and you could actually come in. So I kind of want to do that when we got the question portion. So again, when I get to the questions, if you want to actually come in live, just type your name in the chat, your Google Hangouts ID. It's usually, you should know what it is if you're on Google Hangouts, and it's usually linked into your Gmail. Usually I can find it by your email address. So if you could even type in your Gmail or your email address that's affiliated with Google Hangouts, and I can actually bring you in live. I just send you a link, you click the link, and you can just come right in the room. I would like to start doing that when we have questions after we go through the presentation part. And if you want to come in and ask a question, you could, if you don't want to be seen on camera, you could turn your camera off if you don't want to be seen. Or if you're looking raggedy, stop fucking around. If you're looking skanky and shit, you don't want us to see you, just turn your camera off. We won't hold it against you. All right. This piece here that you see me wearing, told the brother Duma, who you see in the room as Duma Ken Rez. I know him as Duma. He made this piece. He sent it to me, so I told him I would wear it. And if I see the brother is in here, he does make pieces. So I told people, if they send stuff and want to showcase it, I got no problem showcasing it. If the brother's here, he can type his email in the room, and if you're interested, he's got several. I'm sure he's got a lot more than the ones I've seen. He showed me several different pieces, and if you're interested in an occult left-hand path type of piece, hit him up. You could probably message him right in the room here, or again, our brother Duma, if you're listening, you might want to type your contact info in the chat room so people are interested to see what type of stuff you got. Matter of fact, if you just to test it, if you send me, hold on, I could actually send you a link. Let's see if I actually bring you in. Maybe you could talk about it real quick. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna send you a link right now, brother. Doom, I just sent you a link, brother. You should see the link pop up in your Google Hangouts. Just click it, and that'll bring you right in the room. And I'll let you talk for a quick minute. You can let the people know what you got. It'd probably be a lot easier because I know you showed me a couple pieces, but I just sent you the link. So look for the link and hit it, and I'll bring you right in the room. I'll see you pop up when you hit it. And I'll give you a couple minutes to maybe expound on it. So while I'm waiting for you to see that link and click it, I'll just go through a couple quick announcements. Let me keep this in front of me. It'll be a lot easier instead of keep looking down. So again, if you're just coming in, this is actually broadcasting via the Google Hangouts. And when I get to the question portion, if you would like to come in live and ask your question or add to the discussion, all you got to do is just send me your Google Hangouts ID. You could type it in. Or if you're not sure what your Google Hangouts ID, it's usually linked to your Gmail. And I could usually find it via that. Your Google Hangouts should be your IDs that you're in the chat room. That's pretty much a Google Hangout. So I can send anybody the link. So Doom, I don't know if you're listening or you hear me. I did send you that link. You send it one more time. I don't know if you're listening right now. I see you in the room, but not sure if you're listening. All right, hold on. Let me send it to you one more time. And usually the link goes to either your check your Gmail. Your link is usually in your email, your Gmail, or on your Google Hangouts page, either one. So that's where you'll find the link. So if I send you a link to come in the room, you just need to go to your Gmail account. So Duma, yours went to your Gmail account. So if you're looking for it, I just checked. It went to your Gmail. So if you open your Gmail, you'll see a link to come in the room. And that'll bring you right in. All right. So I'll make sure. Anyway, while I'm waiting for that, and I'll give the brother a chance to speak briefly on that. Want to welcome everybody to the room. And a couple quick announcements I'd like to do. I see people coming in, so I'll just take a quick minute. As usual, the month's flying by. I don't know where the damn time goes for me to keep track of the time period anymore, to be honest with you. The 22nd is only 10 days away. I know this is a short month. You know, don't be mad. It's Black History Month. It's only 20. Let me stop. It's a short month, and it's going fast. I mean, time literally feels like it's flying to me the last year or two. So the cutoff date for the ritual will be the 20th, which is Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, next Wednesday. If you have not contacted me, I have spoken to a couple of people. If you're still interested in coming, just please request that invite by no later than February 20th. Okay. It's going to be what the videos I've been doing the last couple of weeks, and it's intentional why I'm doing them and laying them out the way I'm laying them out. That's pretty much what we're going to be focused on. Okay. It's the best thing I can tell you without really giving too much away, because that would defeat the purpose. The purpose of the ritual is to really, tap into, quote unquote, the real you, the shadow self, your power, your passion. It's a ritual of trials and tribulations is the best thing I can throw out there. But it'll really see where you're at, quote unquote, dealing, if we want to use the term dark side, or dealing with this path, etc. So that'll be the 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cutoff date for the invite is the 20th. Then the following evening on the 23rd, we have a drumming on the beach, and that is for anybody who's free to attend that, man, woman, child. We got out there, we jammed for a couple hours. We had a little build session, a little free-for-all discussion afterwards. There's a little spot up the street we hit, Dandy Donuts, afterwards, kind of just hang out. It's kind of like a laid-back, chill event, but we do some building. Anybody's welcome to come to that if you're in the area. All right, and that's going to be on the 23rd. Don't forget this Thursday evening. Yo, brother Jack, I'm going to send you a link to come in the room. I don't know if you can hear me, brother. I sent you the link. Jack, I'm going to send you a link to come in the room because I'm on Hangouts like we did a couple months ago. So I'm going to send you a link since ain't nobody see your ass in a minute. Hold on, I'm sending it to you right now. I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to bring Jack in so you can see it. I'll tell you where it's going. It's in your Gmail, okay, brother? Check your Gmail. I just sent the link. It should be in your Jack Charles Gmail, and just click it. It'll bring you right in the room. Brother Doom, I don't know if you're listening. You can come in simultaneously too if you want. I don't know if you're listening, brother. I saw you were here in the beginning. I don't know if you stepped away or you're doing something, but I would like to bring you in for a quick minute so you can talk about these pieces and where people can reach you. But I just sent you the link, Jack. All right, give you a minute. Yeah, man. I know. Just tell that midget stripper she needs to step off. But anyway, so the drumming is the following evening. The online classes, March 23rd, is going to be the first session. That'll begin on Saturday, March 23rd, run into the end of April, early May. I'm trying to get through these quick so we can get to the stuff we got to get to. And if you're interested in a spiritual consultation or a reading, you could email me for everything that I just mentioned. The same email address, khnum19@gmail.com. And I will get to you or schedule something within 24 to 48 hours. At least give me that 24 to 48 hour window. I am busy with that. I am consistently doing work with people throughout the week, ongoing work. But I'm very consistent in what I'm doing. I commit to my dates. I'm there on time, and we get it done. All right. And when you email me, just let me know what time zone you're in. If you're in a different time zone in the States or out of the States, to save time, let me know what time zone you're in and best days and times that are available for you. That just saves the back and forth email. I'm about getting to business and getting straight to it. I don't like to waste too much time. So let me knock that out. All right. Brother Duma, are you here listening? I saw you in the beginning. You might have stepped off. If you are, type in. I sent you a link to come in to your Gmail. All right. Usually the link goes to your Gmail or your Google Hangouts, but I could see where it goes when I send it. All right. So anyway, I'll get Jack in here in a minute. So that's what we got going on. And what else? So what I want to focus on, a real quick radio show this Thursday, 8 o'clock. Sister Raven Hecker. We're going to have a special Valentine's show. Since it's Valentine's Day, we're going to talk about relationships, love, the female aspect of it's going to be a very interesting show. And yeah, it's not, some of the brothers might get a little uncomfortable with the show because it's going to talk about some of us that are faking the funk, coming up short. And we're going to deal with it from a feminine perspective. Upcoming shows. I know you saw I posted, but we're going to have the sister on, Priestess Asset Ra Amun. Some of you might be familiar with her. She's been around for quite a few years doing this occult thing. She got a lot of videos on her channel. I posted her link. Support the sister. She deals with dark magic, working with demons, the occult, left-hand path. She deals with the Egyptian aspect of it. In my opinion, I think she's one of the most informative sisters out there that's doing work. She's got a good body of work. I got a lot of respect for her. She's confident in what she does. She don't give a fuck. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're trying to bring out. I mean, it's great to be girly and female and all that shit. But a true female is a female that can retain that feminine, but be a warrior and strong by nature. That's what this path requires of you. And it's not a knock if you're girly. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but check the sister out. We're going to have her on March 7th, Thursday, March 7th. On the 21st, don't forget, Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum will be here on Primordial Chaos Radio. And then on the 28th, Val Cadman will be here. And a reminder for March 9th, we'll have Richard K. Page here, world-known, practicing Luciferian, author, occultist. I know a lot of you have his books and have read his books. Dan, if you don't have Encountering the Divine in addition to the Alter Ego and his other books, get that book. I plan on doing a series of work on that book upcoming, closer to end of the month, going into before he comes on, just to kind of get people acclimated with it. Yo, Jack, man, what you doing? Brother Duma, did you get the link I sent you so you can come in and talk about your pieces? I send it to your Gmail account. Can you hear me? Can you type in and confirm that you hear me? Brother Duma, I just see you came back. I sent the link to your Gmail to come in live right now on the Google Hangout so you could briefly talk about your pieces that you make. So if you are here, brother, click the link and come in. Jack is getting rid of a midget stripper right now. He's going to be popping up here in a minute. But check your Gmail, brother, and see if you can click the link and come in for a quick minute. All right, before I kind of want to do that before I get into this material. So send it one more time to you. And just if you could type in that you hear me, that would be greatly appreciated, brother. Okay.
Yo.
Jizzle, what up, baby?
How much, man? Hold on. Yeah.
All
I
right, here
see
we go. We got you.
you.
All right,
What's
I'm
good,
just
man?
everything good, man. I'm see if I can get Doom in here to talk about these pimped out pieces he makes.
Yeah, I noticed that. I look fresh. It's
Yeah,
fresh,
so I
man.
want to, I want to give the brother a shout out and have him. It'd be better for him to talk about it. See, he's back in here. But what's going on, man? Just figure. Oh, there he is. Hold on, brother Duma. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going, brother Beniti?
Cool, Jack. Before I get to you, brother Duma, I figure I'd bring you in and why don't you tell people? I know you sent me a photo of some nice pieces you made. You sent me a photo of some Baphomet pieces. You sent me a photo of some Infernal Union, the Lily of Samael ones. You had some Luciferian pieces. So why don't you briefly, tell the people what it is you do, and why don't you give your contact information, so if they're interested in finding out more, they can contact you, brother.
Okay. Basically, I do a lot of bead work. I will sometimes get the pendants from local shops or Amazon and just put some bead work together and put them together that way. So basically, what you saw is just an assortment things that I've accumulated and put together myself. But I can be reached on Instagram, and my Instagram name is Dardan8386.
Okay.
So a lot of my work is there. In fact, I just sent something to Mama Morte. She has an Ishtar star pendant that I did. So
Okay. Cool. And what you could do, Duma, is um, in the chat, type in your information too, just in case somebody asks or forgets. I don't know. I was telling you to do that earlier. I don't know if you stepped away for a quick minute or you were doing something.
yeah, I put it in. I put my
Oh,
Instagram
you put it in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Yeah. So hit the brother up, man. Support. That's the objective.
I
And I know we got
appreciate it.
a lot amongst us that support. Well, anyway, if you want, feel free to hang out. You can hang out. I keep you on here.
Okay.
It's up to you. If you don't want to be seen, man, just turn your camera off.
Okay.
And it's up to you. Because what I want to start doing is to the question portion, like in this format, because I got two devices running. I could watch the chat, but I want to start bringing you guys in so you could actually post your questions, ask them, and let people hear your voice. But what I want to also start doing is bringing people in and kind of engage them where they are on this path and perspective to the topics that we talk about, which I think is important. So I'm gonna keep you here. So if you're gonna be doing stuff, moving around, you can go just make sure you mute your mic, or if you don't want to be seen, just turn off your camera. But if you're gonna be moving around making no, I mean, I can mute you, but you can mute yourself, obviously. All right, because I don't know if you got some holes over there or something like that. I don't want to see all that nonstop.
No, it's not nothing like that, brother.
Just fucking with you, man. All right, let me bring brother Jack in. I know Jack, you've been on the road traveling, brother. What's going on, man? I know you're gonna be back here
man.
end of the month. How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's been a good experience, man.
Truck
Yeah.
stop.
Nah, man. Nah. I keep it clean, but I keep it clean. Nah, but it is good, man. Grinding, man. Staying safe, doing my thing, man. You know how it goes.
Cool. I know you're gonna be back by the end of the month, right?
Yeah, I should be back by next Thursday. I mean, stay there till Tuesday.
Cool.
I'll be there for all the events.
All right. All right. I'm glad you checked in. So what I'm gonna do, brother, I'm gonna go through this material real quick. You can hang around if you want to. If you gotta do stuff in the background, you can turn your camera off, mute yourself.
I'll do that.
When you want to come back in, and we'll get to the build part, come back in, and we'll build.
All right, for
if you got some questions. So I know you're probably doing things, but yeah, just make sure your camera. I want to see the little 3-footer.
sure.
But yeah, you can mute yourself or turn your video, or you can just hang out. It's up to you. All right.
For sure.
So what I want to again let everybody know, when I can get as many people in here as I need to. When it comes to the portion of asking questions, if you want to come in live and add to the discussion after I'm done going over this brief material, feel free to come in live and ask your questions. And I want to also see, okay, don't be shy and shit. I want to see some of the women. I want to be able to look at motherfuckers and see in their face and in their eyes what it is or what it is not that they're doing. And that's not to be judgmental, but I want you guys to share as far as to the bill, because remember, this path is about doing work, but also the live interaction. And again, there's no limit to as many people as I can bring in here. So I'm going to keep Brother Doomer and Brother Jack here. And if you guys want to come in, I can send you the link, and it usually goes right to your Gmail. All you got to do is click the link, and it brings you right in the room. All right. So let me go over this material real quick. And when we get to the questions, I got the 2 devices running. I can see the chat, and I can watch this. That's the only thing with the Hangouts. You got to have 2 devices running simultaneously. You can't see the chat on the main screen. So, all right, what I'm going to go through real quick. The Sith path of inner destruction. What is it? It's probably one of the most intense deconstruction or destructive aspects and reconstruction aspects you will ever experience if you apply it the right way. We talked about last week behavior and willpower, will over your behavior. So it's kind of going to be a further, more intricate, detailed aspect of strengthening the will. But in order to strengthen the will, that inner destruction must take place. This is critical and important to understand because it'll help with your growth. It'll help bring things to the surface that you need to address. And again, the purpose, what is the purpose of the path of inner destruction? The purpose of the path of inner destruction is to bring them things to the surface that you're not aware of. I'm not talking about the shit you are aware of, because if you are aware of certain things that we talked about last week, certain behaviors that are holding you back, preventing your growth, causing you issues or blockages, and that's a beautiful thing. Great. So half of the battle is won, So you should already be making plans, strategies, methodologies, ritualistic work of how you're going to attack those things and correct it. That's the easy part. Let me explain something last night. With one of my clients. They came to the realization that there's stuff that they didn't even realize were issues. That's the shit that I'm talking about. Because the path of inner destruction, dealing with the real shadow self, etc., is about bringing those things to the surface that you have buried consciously or unconsciously, right? That's what the purpose of this path is. I mentioned in a video I did a few weeks back, the path of Kali Durga. That's another very destructive path and reconstructive path. It's along those lines, just maybe a slightly different methodology. So I'm going to go through a short excerpt. Again, the same book that I used last week from the Sith Academy, Masters of the Will, the Dark Lords. All right. Some of you have emailed me. I told you where you can find all these books. If you just type in Sith Academy on Amazon, all their books come up. But let me also make this disclaimer. I do agree with a lot of the information they have in their books. I am not promoting or in any way, shape, form, or fashion making any claim that I agree 100% with their academy and what they do. That's their business. That's they have a right to do whatever they want. I do not agree with all those things. I think some of it is a little aesthetic and religious. Some of it is very good. So I focus on not just with them or anybody's information that can be utilized to grow on this path. I just extract what I can use to apply it to myself. That's what we all should do on this path. Anytime you're reading books, studying different works by different authors, your goal as a god or a goddess is to be able to extract what you can utilize and applies to you. So I want to be clear on that disclaimer. All right. But for the most part, there's a lot of good information in their publications that you can apply to your growth on the occult left-hand path to self-mastery. All right. So I'm going to go through a section in the beginning dealing. Let me just get it. I never fucking mark my page. If you do have the book, we're going to talk about. We're going to start on page 16. Just a couple short excerpts. This is also good because it deals with the psychological aspect of the mind. And like I said, why is this important? Your magic cannot be powerful if this ain't right and this ain't right. Remember, the raw energy and motion and passion that you need to tap into to make your magic effective is via the heart chakra. All right, I want to explain it. That's truly where your power comes from. There's something talked about in Eastern mysticism called divine ishq, right, which is the word for love, right? We're talking about that love that you can't even put or explain, put into words and explain. So don't think it's love what you have defined in your mind that's been systematically programmed into you. That's not real love. I just want to make that crystal clear. All right. When you tap into what we call that divine ishq or that divine love, you're connected to everything that exists, you know, around you in your environment and nature and creation. You're tapped into a frequency and a vibration, really, that I'm doing injustice right now trying to explain it with words, because you really can't explain it with words. But I'm doing my best to use physical words to describe it. It's something you must experience and feel to really understand it. It's like you're completely wide open and you're able to absorb everything in existence. It's the best way I can describe it. These are the aspects we have to focus on that are going to give us our power. But if this is not right and you're not doing those work with your chakra, starting with the root chakra, keeping you grounded, right? Working your way up. Because see, the mistake that everybody makes, and I said, oh, everybody's look, okay, maybe there are some people that do have their crown and their pineal or their brow chakra functioning. I know a lot of people like to think they do, but it's a very telltale sign you could be under illusion if you're not grounded in everyday life and reality and successful at that, which would correlate with your root chakra. So we tend to bypass the lower chakras, for lack of a better word, because that's been part of a systematic programming that don't deal with the, you know, the sacral, don't deal with the root, because, you know, just go right to your crown chakra cannot be open if the lower chakras are not vibrating on the correct frequencies. I don't give a shit what anybody tells you. The throat chakra is a problem with a lot of people because they can't express themselves correctly, right? Throat chakra deals with expression, not just verbal expression, but expressing your inner emotions, your energy, and your feelings on all levels. Sometimes the throat chakra, when it's shut down, we keep that suppressed, and that lack of expression can create all types of traumatic blockages in our subconscious mind, right? I'm saying all this to say because the inner path of destruction is to destroy and break all that shit down and rebuild it. Look at it like knocking down an old fucking house that's decrepit and is condemned, and just taking it down and destroying it and then rebuilding something. That's essentially what you're doing to yourself when you're on this path. Well, you should be. I would hope you are in some shape, form, or fashion. All right. So page 16, let's go through these couple quick excerpts. When I get to the questions, if you want to come in the room, just type in, you want to come in the room. Your screen name here in the chat should be your Google Hangouts ID. I'll send you the link and click. You can come right in the room. You could add your question, ask your question live. You could add to the build. Hopefully, Raven Hecker gets here soon. She should be here probably within a half an hour. Hopefully she has time to stop through. I'll bring her in real quick and we'll talk a little bit about Thursday. All right. Psychologically, the Sith path is listen to this closely now. Psychologically, the Sith path is a process of cutting away the conditioning and propaganda that accumulates in the minds of every civilized person from birth, of deconstructing the disempowerment memes that have been implanted in your mind by a culture that has a different agenda from our own. So what is part of this inner path of self-destruction? Deprogramming you from everything that society has established and said is the norm. Okay, the propaganda, the religious doctrine, the philosophy, the faith, the belief, the spookism, the fairy tales, the myths, all of that shit that started at a very young age and just kept building and building up as you got older and older, right? All of one of the core, and this is why I'm saying when we're talking about the Sith path and applying it as a literal system, I want to make sure we're removing, it's great, the entertainment aspect, the Star Wars trilogy, and I'm into that too, but I want to make it clear. We're approaching this literally from a methodology that you can literally use on your everyday path. The imagery is fine. The Sith ritual we will be enacting out. We will be in regalia, the whole nine, to add that imagery, and it's a beautiful thing. But we're literally now using the power of the mind and applying the methodologies and the principles. All right. So it's also about immunizing yourself against the lies of a light side society that would enslave your will and reduce you to a sleeper and a slave. What is that? All the paths that promote peace and love and unity. And there's going to be a day where we're all holding hands across this country, and it's going to be that's mental enslavement, mental indoctrination. If you really believe and tap into that ideology, you give love and peace to those of like mind. You give love and peace to those that have earned that love and peace. We don't turn the other cheek. We don't, just give any type of level of forgiveness out for no apparent reason, just because it's society's program methodology of that's the right thing to do. No, we don't. With the Sith path, you get one strike and that's it. And that's probably pushing it. So what this means is we don't buy into all of the illusionary ideologies. We will never be in this physical existence. There will constantly be war, strife, chaos. Okay? That will always exist. I don't give a shit what anybody says. The sooner you understand that and your place in things and how you can take on and develop a system of how you can be a victorious warrior over that, that's when things start to change for you. The more you stay in a mindset of chasing something that is not a reality, because as I said before, people spend their whole life looking for a spook god that doesn't exist. They spend their whole life advocating a concept that's not really a reality. It's an illusionary reality. That's what really, when you go into the movie aspect of the Sith and Star Wars trilogy, that's the whole differential conflict between the dark side and the light side, the Jedis and the Sith, right? And as I said on, I think it was the last video, the one before, that's how you see in the last Star Wars that Luke Skywalker now realizes you do need, that foundation of the dark side to be successful in life. He realized that fluffy shit is really illusionary because it was missing something. So everything has its birth in darkness and chaos. We understand that when applying the Sith philosophy. Nothing has its point of origin in the light. Everything has its point of origin in darkness and chaos. That primordial chaos or that primordial energy that is constantly in abundance and around us all the time, and we have the ability to tap into it. It is powerful, and it is more powerful if you can make order out of it and utilize that chaotic energy for your benefit. That's in essence what a Sith master is able to do. Now he or she can use it for destructive purposes, can use it for renewal purposes, can use it for healing, can use it for energy draining tactics. There's a vampirism aspect of Sith philosophy and spiritual practice. It can be used for mind control techniques. The list goes on and on and on. It is very, and then the core principles of what Sith represents, in my opinion, is where a lot of the Luciferian influence comes in, the ideology, okay? All right. So let me get through this. All right. So, we call this process the path of inner destruction. Here are 6 tools the Dark Lords have found most useful on their own paths of inner destruction, all right? And that's what we're going to go through. Some of these tools. Some of them you can use for your own personal work. Some of them I'm going to just briefly go through. I'm going to actually give you the shorter versions of it. They have Buddhist meditation. They recommend the Zazen aspect of Buddhist meditation. Any, in my opinion, intense focused meditation, which is always a part of any successful path, even on this path. And I remember getting a question months back. Somebody had asked, well, do you guys do stuff like healing and meditation on the path of self-mastery and the occult and left-hand path, or is that religious? Why the fuck would anybody even ask that question? In my opinion, we do it probably more intently, quote unquote, than the light-siders or the fluffinators or the fuzzy bunnies or the white little Easter bunny rabbits. I'm sorry. It's that Sith energy, that Sith spirit. It's not a pleasant spirit. So hopefully nobody's feelings get hurt tonight. So fuck it, I got to call it for what it is. For anybody to ask a stupid ass fucking question like that, obviously you might want to do your research and gather your information and facts. That is an integral part of this path. Left-hand path, occult path of self-mastery. Visualization, meditations, chanting, mantras, which you will find all through this path and many other paths. Those are tools and implements we use on a regular basis. So I'm not even gonna really read them. I'm just gonna go through them and build on them myself for the sake of saving time. I can build on these. I don't really need to read them. They basically self-explanatory. I'll read some of the key points. So meditation is one of the key tools, but I'm going to add visualizations in there too. Is one of the key tools you can use. Why is it important to focus on the inner path of self-destruction? Because when you are doing consistent, proper meditation on a regular basis, you start to get to know your real self, your true emotions, your real feelings, your real thoughts. When you're locked in, now again, don't get concentration confused with meditation. That tends to happen sometimes, okay? When you are really locked in and focused, okay, you start to get your personal messages. I talked about something a few weeks back. Start trusting in the personal messages that you get on a regular basis. Stop second guessing them. Stop doubting them. Again, I mentioned this, and I get emails and people will say, you know what, I did this and such, I did this work. And they'll tell me they'll follow it up with such great results they have. And then here's the fucked up thing. After they tell me what they did and how they got great results, then they'll follow it up. Did I do it right? What the fuck kind of stupid shit is that? Of course you did it right if you got some results. Stop in your mind thinking there's a systematic way of doing things. Because when you say stuff like that, my first question to you would be, well, what is doing it right? And what are you gauging it up against as far as doing it right or wrong? See, there is a confession that psychologically there's some hidden trauma on the subconscious mind, that you're still on a certain level or aspect under some system of conformity. Now, the question is, we could dig further and find out what it is. But think about it. If you did something, whatever methodology you use is irrelevant. I don't give a shit if you put 6 Twinkies and made a pentagram with it and put 6 yellow candles around it. If you did some ritualized shit and it worked via Twinkies, who gives a fuck? If you got results, that's how you know. Because my first question, you got results? Yes, I got results. But when you follow it up with, did I do it right? That shows me there's a lack of confidence. There's a lack of knowing thyself. What is the key phrase that's inscribed above the temple in Heliopolis? The Greek term they use, Helios, in ancient Egypt. Know thyself, and thou shalt know the gods, right? That's what it says. Know thyself, and thou shalt know the gods. Well, if you don't know yourself, how are you going to know and understand these archetypes that you work with? When I say archetypes, I'm not just talking about deities. I'm also talking about spiritual systems. Because if you are going to be a god/goddess and be in control and be in the know, okay, you must have and be able to accept that ability, one, show that ability, two, but really accept it in the mind as a reality. It's one thing saying these things. I'm a god. I'm a goddess. I'm in control. I'm on the path of whatever phrase you want to use to show forth your godliness. But do you really accept it in here? Is it a reality in here? Well, the path of inner destruction will make that realization come to the surface. All right. Now, usually what happens when you work these paths, a lot of fears can come to the surface. Insecurities, things you've been struggling with that you might be aware of, but most importantly, that you're not aware of. All right. That's meditation. Psychedelics. I'm going to not stay on that too long. If you decide to use psychedelics on your path, that's your personal. I know people, you know, the ayahuasca and the DMT and all that. That's been a big thing for the last several years. I believe you, and I not believe, I know, I can only speak for myself. You can obtain that state with or without the psychedelics. And I'm not judging anybody. If you decide to, it is a part of many shamanic paths. I've talked about that before in the past. If you decide that's a route you use to enhance your spiritual growth, I would just make sure, one, the stuff that you're using is from quality and trusted sources. If you're working with an individual and on that path that's assisting you, make sure they are qualified and have proper knowledge and information where you can get to the point where you are informative now and you have enough knowledge where you can carry it out yourself. So long story short, if you decide to include psychedelics on your path, any form of psychedelics, just be very wise and diligent in your use and how you apply it. That would just be my advice. I personally don't use them. Had brief experiences with them probably in 92. It was all right. It was just something I don't feel that I need. Definitely don't need it at this point. Like I say, one has the ability on this path to that euphoria or that state of consciousness that people are trying to tap into via the psychedelic can also, I want to be clear on this, can also be obtained without the use of it. But it is a part in certain circles on this path. So I have to address that. So I'll leave that there. I don't really want to build on that for too long because again, I don't really deal with it. I know plenty of people that do. It is a quicker way of decontent. Some people like it because it gets you to the point quicker. But I would also say this, be careful. If you're not in a sound mind and sound body, psychedelics probably would not be the right thing for you to use. That could probably be more harmful than beneficial. Nature immersion, right, is one of the other techniques. Sometimes isolating yourself, let me be clear, I want to say this because I want people to get spooky. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to get spooky and fluffy when I say this. Sometimes we don't stop and really understand the micro and the macrocosm, the relationship between nature and ourselves. Sometimes it's just as simple sitting in a serene aspect of nature. It could be by the water, the beach, if you're fortunate enough to be near a beach or a lake. It could be in the countryside. It could be in the mountains. Because nature is constantly communicating messages to us, but sometimes we don't take time to stop and see it. A sun rising or setting speaks multitude of subconscious messages. I know if I watch a sunrise and set, my mind goes to many different places. It takes you into that alpha state. Sometimes just looking upon a mountainside or a hillside or mountains or an expanse amount of greenery, right? Because obviously in a large abundance of greenery, when you're in nature, there's that photosynthesis process of the absorption of the sun's energy and nature in correlation to you. Well, we absorb the energy just like plants do, right? Especially when we talk about the sun. I want to be clear though. I don't want to sound like we're doing a fucking nature class here, but there is power in nature. We know this on this path. One of the ways to sharpen and enhancing your inner emotions and your connection with your real self is to connect with nature on some level. Now, all right, I know some people that live in 4-season climates, it's extremely cold, so it's tough to do that at certain times of the year. But even, I know, all the years living in New York, snow is serene when it first falls. It looks nice and shit. Obviously, after that, it's fucking disaster. Nobody wants to see that shit. But there's things in cold climates that can be invigorating and uplifting and speak messages to the mind. But getting locked into nature, now that also correlates and connects to a couple of different things, all right? Which I don't want to get too much in depth into it, diet, things of that nature, food, exercise, all that stuff is important. It's very important. It all has its connection, all right? This one, I probably want to go a little more into detail, as they have listed on page 19. Mimetrics is the science of infectious ideas, symbols, and behaviors called memes, right? We use this a lot. When you plant a mind virus or a thought bomb in someone's head that drives them mad or alters their behavior, you are practicing mimetic sorcery. Every Sith Lord is a mimetic sorcerer. I was talking about this earlier. or a memomancer who uses memes to transform himself, other people, and entire societies, and in some cases, I'd say ideologies. When you begin to think of your thoughts as infections, which use minds as carriers and have a life of their own, including a desire to grow and reproduce, you develop an objectivity towards them that is most empowering. Combined with the inner destruction of the black sun, Zen, Memetrics becomes a tool for re-engineering your own personality and the personality of others. That was when I was talking about earlier, mind control techniques, influencing others' thoughts, is something that's very easily and obtainable on this path with proper discipline and practice, right? And there is purposes for that when utilized correctly, all right? Note that memetrics includes much of what is traditionally called magic or sorcery, which are mostly techniques of psychological manipulation via memes. There's that word manipulation, psychology or psychological. And I've been saying since day one strong aspect of working black magic is manipulation of the mind, okay? Your mind, when you manipulate it, see, we hear that word manipulate, and the religiosity comes in some people's mind. The religious and the infection of religion comes in, because manipulate, to the average person when they first hear it, it's a negative word. No, you can manipulate something in a good way, right? There's many forms of manipulation. Don't just go by the programmed concept that mainstream society has indoctrinated with us. To manipulate your mind to accomplish a desired result, that's not a bad thing. To manipulate or to extract something, to break it down and to manipulate it, to master it, that's not a bad thing either. Okay? It's about perception. It's about what's in the eye of the beholder and how they perceive it. So don't get caught up in the wordplay, because you hear that. And again, not so much maybe for people that are on this path. I'm saying for maybe people that hear that word that may per se not be on the path. All right. Okay, logic. Let's talk about this. All right, there's one thing I want to say on this real quick. All right. A lot of people have book knowledge. A lot of people retain a lot of shit. A lot of people have academic knowledge, right? A lot of people have papers and degrees from universities. In essence, it really doesn't mean shit. It's not to downplay the time and effort one might have put in to get a degree. It's not to downplay or put in or say, do not be motivated to get a degree. You should further your education as far as you can. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because people can be programmed via all those systems, but logic and common sense, some people just don't have. I'm sorry. In my opinion, you can't teach common sense. You either have it or you don't. It's that simple. Okay? You can't teach it to somebody. They either have it or they don't. It's that old saying we learned growing up. You know how there was some kids, they just weren't street smart. Some were. Well, the well-rounded individual is an individual that has common sense, logic, and street smarts, but also got the book smarts, the academic smarts, can be a chameleon in the world, can shape shift in different circles and play whatever role, knows when to cut the switch on and off, right? This is a whole nother level of mind control, can present themselves in any circle how they need be. That's the tool of a master, a god or a goddess. Okay. The only way you're going to get in certain circles and manipulate them to your benefit is to be able to play the role. Okay. To get up in there and manipulate that system so you can dominate and control it. Okay. That's what a Sith does. That's what we should be able to do to everything in life. If we're, again, I said this before, if you're gonna flip fucking hamburgers, you be the best damn hamburger flipper that anybody's seen in their life. Why? Because you're manipulating that to go on to something bigger and better and greater. Don't look at, if you're in a situation in life right now that may not be the best place and you're not fully content with your life, well, the way to turn that around and change it is your attitude and your approach. If you're working a miserable job you hate, your attitude and approach is either condemning you and preventing you from evolving into something bigger and better beyond that, or if you're approaching it the right way, it's just waiting for an opportunity and a door to open for something bigger and better. The only way you're going to change that circumstance is by changing your approach, your energy, and your passion for it. So I don't give a fuck what it is you do. If you're driving Uber, You be the best motherfucking Uber driver there is. You be on time. You hustle. You make your coin. I don't give a fuck what it is. I don't care if you're selling fucking deodorant out on the street, socks. You be the best socks and deodorant. Because what that does is the approach, the passion, the energy, and the methodology, it'll open doors to greater things. Okay. You may not look at it like that. You might see it as something very mundane. And how does that apply to what I'm talking about? Well, if you can't figure that out, it's not something I can really put into too many words. Trust me, attitude and approach is everything. All right. See, Brother Jizzle is back. Again, when I'm done with this material, if you want to come in the room, let me know. I can send you a link and you can come in here live and ask your question, or if you want to make a statement, feel free. If you don't want to be seen on camera, which unless you're looking raggedy as hell, you can keep your camera off if you don't want to be seen. So you have audio and video capabilities if you so choose. All right. So I'd like to hear from some of you tonight. So I did this. Me and Jack did this a few months ago. I haven't gone back to it. I said, well, let me try it again tonight. See maybe if we can get some more participation, and do it via this. And see how it goes. So this is your chance to be, to speak, to be heard. Like to hear from some of the females instead of everybody just having a side chat. And don't be shy and don't be afraid, because if you come in, I'm going to ask you some. Also, I'm going to ask some questions. I want to do this so I can see. I want to know where some of you guys are at on the path, what it is you're doing, not just come in and blanket statements. Let's talk. If you work this path, I want to hear, what is it you do? Do you use this path in some shape, form, or fashion? Where you're at, if you do use it, like what level are you working this path? Are you using ritualistic work? Are you just using techniques? Or maybe there's something we can discuss, further. All right. So logic consists of the laws of thought. Sith are driven by passion. Say that again. Sith are driven by passion. Okay. But we must also acknowledge the tremendous power of logical thought. You should also be very logical in your magic and your approach. Are the things you work in, are they logical and are they practical? Because let me give you an example. I talked about this before. You might love R&B music and you might have this undenying passion to be an R&B superstar. But in order, you must have some level of talent to work magic to make that happen. If you can't sing worth shit, you're probably not taking a logical approach to the path, because you got to have some type of talent. That would be when you're analyzing your magical working and your ritual working. Is it practical? And are you using logic to lay it out? All right. Very important to understand, because I find sometimes, all right, I'm not going to do a candle magic ritual. I want to do this candle magical ritual for $2 million. I could probably tell you that's not going to happen. What I would start with, like I said, I work with money magic via consistency. In my personal business and what I do here, I just work with consistent money flow. I'm going to leave it there without getting in too much depth. And it works like a charm. I got something going right now for Saint Expedite. I use that voodoo spirit. It's very effective. It works very quick. But as I said before, you must be clear in your invocations when you're working with that spirit. Because like I said, if you're invoking Saint Expedite for $1,000 to handle something, $2,000, and you're not clear on where you want that money to come from in your invocation that you're working via the ritual, well, a loved one might die and leave you some money because you weren't clear. You might want to do work because you want to be healthier and drop weight. Well, remember, Saint Expedite, and when you do the history, he was a literal person, but remember, he was beheaded. It's a very volatile spirit, and sometimes it's all over the place. And it's not, if you're not clear with the communication, it expedites whatever you want quickly by any means if you're not clear on it. So you might want to lose weight, but you might contract a serious illness and lose that weight because you weren't clear on how you wanted to lose that weight. I hope you're getting this. So your logic, your intent, which is, in my opinion, is everything with magic and how you fuel it, and being conscious and aware of what you're working with. Make sure you're clear on what it is you're doing and what you're working. Because if you're not, 9 out of 10 times, it's not effective. All right. All right. when you must think you should use logic to avoid false conclusions and make good decisions, there's an expression. That which can be destroyed by the truth should be. And logic is a most powerful tool for destroying untruths. I just posted a video yesterday. Is there such a thing as pure, undiluted truth? And I hope people ask themselves that question when I put that video up. Ask yourself that. Is there such a thing as pure, undiluted truth? Okay? And the answer is absolutely not. There's not one pure, undiluted truth that applies to everybody on the planet. Truth is personal, because what's one truth to one individual may be falsehood to the next. Why is that? Based on their perception, their experience. And I want to thank T. Wells for president. I appreciate the donation, brother. Thank you. Much appreciated. So let's make sure that that's crystal clear. Your truth is personal. How do you confirm what truth is to you? When you raise yourself up to the self-realization of it via your experiences. Because if I sit here and I have a conversation with you and I said, you know what, last night I did this ritual and I went into this deep trance and meditation, and I'm telling you about my experience. Now, even though it's a reality to me, and there might be some things you can connect with it, but it's really not a reality or a truth to you because you didn't have that same experience. Now, again, there might be things in that you can connect with, but it becomes pure reality and truth when you have your own self-realization with it. That's when you can confirm truth to self as being reality, real. So everybody's truth is going to be based on their perceptions, their life experiences, and the things that they're going through in their life, how they were raised. Their educational status has a lot to do with it, their culture. If they came up through a certain religious system or tradition, sometimes that influences, well, not sometimes, a lot, more so if you're not on this path, that shapes a person's reality and their perception of truth. Because look, let's just be, a religious person believes that there's some being that resides in a place called heaven in the sky somewhere, called God, Jehovah, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Allah, whatever fucking term you want. To us on this path, that's just pure mythology because we understand the history of it. That's a faith. It's a belief system based on faith. But the same very book that they get that concept from, it also says faith without works is dead, right? So there's a lot of contradictory shit going on simultaneously because it's an illusionary thing. If God is there, it's confirmation he's not here. How can you be omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient, and then you're telling me he's in some place sitting on a throne in heaven somewhere? See, when I see you, you see me, I see God. When I look at a tree, nature, creation, everything is a reflection of creation or the creator. But I don't look at the creator as a spook being that's sitting on a chair somewhere in the clouds, right? That's just faith, belief, and myths. That's to keep the mind controlled and indoctrinated. That is not a truth for everybody. But there are some people that accept that as the pure, unadulterated truth. There's nothing you can tell them. There's nothing you're going to do to convince them of that. Then they'll tell you you need to be saved. And here comes the idiocy. So now we got this supreme being had to play tricks on us now, right? And send us a son in physical flesh to be beaten to a bloody pulp, humiliated, embarrassed, spit upon, whipped, bloodied as this example of the greatest sacrifice. When really none of this shit really was necessary from jump. You see all the tricks in what this really is they're showing you how they condition your mind and feed off of your emotions. Okay? Now, a religious person ain't going to look at it like that. A religious person might see this video down the road and be appalled at what I'm saying. I don't really give a fuck because I'm not religious. I don't believe in that story. It's mythology. Okay? It's mind conditioning. I don't believe a God that has all the power in the universe has to do all these stupidity things. Look how he fucked with Moses. Just look at the story of Moses. Why did Moses have to go through all that bullshit? Why did people have to be, I mean, we know the story is not real. I'm just saying, if you believe it's literal. Why put people in slavery for 430 years? Why play all the tricks, send Moses back and forth to Pharaoh, demanding his people be released? Why all the tricks with the plagues and what's all this shit all about? What kind of God are we dealing with? We're dealing with a God that likes to fuck around with people's heads and play mind games and shit. See, people don't look at it from that perspective. You want to look at it like, yo.
I'm sorry, man. I be thinking that sometimes, like, why you fucking with
Go
people
ahead,
for?
man.
Like,
Go ahead.
no, like I agree with you. Like that. I'm sorry. I can jump in a little bit.
Go jump in, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. I be thinking about that, and it's just like people are so hell bent on this stuff, and it's like throughout the whole Bible, he's literally fucking with people.
See,
It's
Jack.
crazy.
See, Jack. The reason why you don't understand, brother, you're not saved, brother. That's what it is. You need to be saved, brother. You see, you don't understand the power of being saved. But go ahead.
All right. No, but kind of what you're saying, man. Listen, as far as the truth and this is just a jump in real quick. I'm just listening, and it's like it seems like on this path, right? It seems like on this path, it's kind of like it makes sense. It ties into it in the movie where you see like Darth Vader, he wanted domination of the world, of the universe, right? But kind of like, it doesn't make sense because you're kind of like going against everything, right, and finding your own truth, right? And that's where, but to find that truth, you got to be balanced. You got to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So that's when totality. That's when totality comes into play. So I think about what is the power of totality, right? Because once you're able to have that balancement, that totality, then you're able to kind of will your power. So it's like, so you look at it in essence, the power is mostly like saying to me, in essence, the power is particularly in the balancement, right?
That's correct.
That's what I'm getting from you.
That's correct. Well, yeah, I mean, we like to use the word harmony, but I definitely
harmony,
no, I know where you're going with it. But look, you just said something that's critical. And what was critical about what you just said? Don't we all get up every day wanting to be the best at everything? Don't we all want to have tons of money? Don't we all want to have the best life? When we compete, if we play athletics or we compete in the game of life, don't we want to be the best at everything? Is that wrong? Would that be something wrong? That's what the Sith path represents, being the best, having the best, not waiting for anybody to give it to you or do it for you, but you doing it for yourself. So I'm bringing up the religious bullshit because the religious indoctrination is what keeps people mentally enslaved. See, the fuckers and the powers that be know if you can mentally enslave a people, automatically they're physically disunited. If everybody is on the same wavelength mentally and frequency, that's automatically going to bring people together physically. So slavery now, physical slavery days might be over to an extent, because technically in some parts of the world it still exists. But mental slavery is alive and well amongst all races and ethnicities. And I want to make this clear, this path, it's for everybody. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It doesn't matter if you're Latino, Black, white, Asian. We do address a lot of topics that deal with Melanite people, yes. But we look at the bigger picture. It's not saying that, slavery didn't exist, that injustice, that's always going to exist on this planet. There's always going to be separation. There's always going to be hate. There's always going to be this not having knowledge of self amongst races and ethnicities. To promote that everybody's going to be living in unity and holding hands is a fucking illusion. Okay? I deal with people simply. I don't give a fuck what you are. You're either a dick or you're not. That's it. And I base that based on your interreaction, how you carry yourself, and your approach. That's it. Because
why do you think some people like run away from that? Like, why do you think so? Like, why people just like, okay, that's the reality of what it is, but they don't want to deal with it.
Well, you know why? You know, Jack, we talk about this shit a lot. And I know you're just throwing questions out there, but that's a great question. We build on this shit all the time, right? Yeah. The reason why is because consciousness or pro-Black consciousness has become a religion too. That's why. See, we like to use this crutch about what the white man has done to us. Yeah, and I'm not negating that. I know people hear that, get mad. And let me make this clear. Don't be fooled, because I'll get this once in a while. Don't be fooled by my appearance. Don't tell me that one dude got mad and said, oh, brother, you were probably raised privileged because of the way I look. You know nothing about me, motherfucker. Trust me. All right. So I'm not making these statements looking from the outside. I'm making these statements of being in that experience, growing up. Okay. And I'm not saying appearance does not create racism. Now, let's be real. Would myself or somebody like you, Jack, you would probably experience more racism just based on skin tone and complexion. That's a reality. I'm not denying that. But what I am saying is you become a victim to your circumstances if you accept those realities. Because how on one hand can you say, and this is a great question, how on one hand can you say you're a god and you're the original this and that? But hold on, wait a minute. There's this force called the European or the white man that's in this major. So you don't really have no power then is what you're saying. You understand what I'm saying? So the answer to your question is fear and ignorance, okay? Because when you accept your circumstances, you are a product of that reality. And it becomes an excuse to lean on. So now when you fail, you got a reason why. Because now you have this crutch you can go to. This is why I failed. Well, if you are on this path as a occultist, a magician, an adept, whatever you want to call yourself, you know the power and the potential that you have. That's what you should be focused on. And like I say, an adept that's in control has complete control. Nobody can penetrate your immediate surroundings and environment. That you always have control over. Doesn't mean there's things in the world outside of your immediate environment that don't affect you on some level. Some people get that twisted. But I guarantee you, if you're dealing with self first, see, the problem is on those paths, everybody wants to save the fucking world and have this worldwide unity, but they can't even save themselves. Okay? Their shit ain't together. Their shit ain't right. But they're going to give you advice and tell you we need to do this and we need to do that. Well, anybody that's giving orders or wants to be a leader should have their shit together, is what I'm saying. And we don't have that. That's the problem. So we're trying to save the whole world. And in that process of saving the whole world, we forget taking care of ourselves. And I know, like me and you, and not to get into your personal stuff right now, you're on a serious transition in life, making life changes right now. We talk about this. But the difference is you're not talking about it anymore. You're fucking doing it. Some people don't understand that. You just got up off your ass, took the initiative. You started to do the things you needed to do to put what you're doing now in motion and getting it done. Now, is it going to be easy? Of course it's not going to be easy. But you know this. But that's the difference between what we do on this path than the hoteppers that sit around with being angry and look, I said this in a recent video. The person that's bitter, bitching, moaning, and complaining all the time, I will bet my life they ain't got a pot to piss in. They're struggling with money. Their personal life is a mess. Talk to that person and then go talk to a person that's got their shit together, has got a consistent income. They're not as bitter or as angry. Why? Ask yourself that question. Why? The people that bitch and moan and complain are usually the people that are fucked up on all levels, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. It's a fact. I'm telling you this because remember back in the day where we came from, right? Think about it now. Right? When you're caught up in that shit, you think you're on some secret special mission. And we used to think years ago that we knew everything, that we had it together. And other motherfuckers was like, all right, I feel what you're saying, but there's a disconnect there, brother. There's a disconnect. And we used to think there was something wrong with them people when in essence, we didn't recognize there was something wrong with ourselves. We were so caught up in this save the world mission. And I want to make this clear. We talk about this all the time. I'm not trying to save nothing to nobody. I'm trying to save myself first.
That's real talk. I
ain't trying to save nobody.
Because what is it? The number one law in nature is self-preservation, right? You got to take care of yourself. You're the number one law.
That's it.
So it's like another thing too is that people fight, again, to what we were talking about earlier, right? People want to act like, the whole power struggle, separation stuff isn't real, but it's literally they're going through a power struggle, like a microcosm of a power struggle within themselves, because they're fighting. Should I fight over taking power of their own life, or have somebody else have power of their life, right? Not even realizing it. So it's always a macro and then a micro of the whole thing is within yourself.
That's it.
Deep.
You hit it on the head. And I'm glad you're bringing this stuff up. But again, I'm glad you're here. Something told me to come on tonight because I knew you'd pop up and I wanted to get you in here. I know we know each other for a long time now. I know from firsthand experience, obviously, I can see and attest to the work you're doing. I know this. And the stuff that I hear you say, I know you from years ago, from your beginnings and your struggles to kind of where you got to now. And I'm not saying it's done with. There's always consistent work to do. We know this, and it's never ending. It's a lifelong process. You're always sharpening your skills. But I can attest, and I can attest in the growth, the struggles, the different phases and the changes. I can reflect back on all that, and it's a good thing, and it's a beautiful thing when you can see that. And I'm saying like in reference to you. So I want to make this clear to listeners watching. When you're not just speaking just from random shit, you're speaking from putting in work, in addition to the actual ritualistic work, etc., your personal work. And this is what's a great thing, and it's a good example for people to see, because that's what this path is really about. Sometimes I think people are very aesthetic. They get caught up in the externals of these paths, because that can be alluring. And I did a quick video earlier today talking about that. You can get caught up in that shit, but yeah. All right, I got brother. Let me bring this brother in real quick. I'm glad you're here, and I did some work with this brother last night. Let me bring him in real quick. I'm sending you the link right now, brother. Izzy, I just sent you the link to your Gmail. All right. If anybody wants to come in the room, just let me know. I'll send you the link to your Gmail, and you can click it, and that'll bring you right in the room. So I'm gonna bring this brother in I believe he's in Philly. I'm gonna bring him in a minute. I just sent the link to your Gmail, brother. So just go into your Gmail account and click it. The last thing I'm gonna get into is there he is. Hold on, let me bring the brother on. Peace,
brother.
What's going on, man?
Man, not too much.
Good. I'm glad you popped up. I saw your second email. I'm gonna get to it. I saw the second one. I'll send you that list when I get off what we talked about last night. I saw it. I just didn't get a chance to answer it.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead, Bill, man. What you got?
No, I just wanted to reiterate on the work we put in last night. Coming as relatively new on this path, coming in, I just had this feeling like I was drawn to Kali, not really fully understanding what that meant.
Right.
And my life has just been upside down ever since. It's like we talked about last night, that fire coming through.
That's right.
And I'm looking at their regeneration after that forest fire gets done. But it's no joke. It's no joke when you really on this path and you really, looking to better yourself. It's not a small thing at all.
That's bad. You're right. And I thought it was pretty cool what you said in the email about hearing that song. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
After that, but see, that's a message. That's a personal message, for you, and that's a beautiful thing. And I'm glad you're stating what you're stating. That's what I want. I want people to come on now and share that experience. But if there's anything else you want to add, man, feel free, brother. You here?
No, like I said, I just want to let people know that just to reiterate, like this is some really serious work that you got to put in, and you got to be willing.
That's right.
To allow every aspect of your life. I mean, brother, I've you were talking earlier about listening to your inner voice,
Right.
and I've struggled with things that popped up from me being, I don't know, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, and I'm 48 now, and
Wow.
the stuff I've been carrying with me this long, and I'm just now realizing it's crazy.
Wow. That's what I was talking about. I'm glad you bring that up. When I was talking about earlier, sometimes like stuff might come up that you remember when it happened, but you didn't really think it, like you just said, you didn't really think it affected you like that. So via your work, when you're doing your work, it starts to come up to the surface. And then when you reflect on it and put more thought to it, you're like, damn, that that shit was fucking with me, more than I really thought it was. That's when you're connected. And I'm glad you mentioned Kali. I know the stuff we talked about last night. I know you're in the midst of doing a lot of work. And that's going to intensify more. But the beautiful thing is you're going to be able to look back and go and just have a sense of accomplishment. You're going to be able to look back and go, I'm glad I did this shit. You understand? It's going to make you feel good.
I'm still in the fire, but I'm glad already. This is
a beautiful thing, man.
As I told you, I came through a lot of different, the church and the mosque and a lot of things. But, I just as far as I am right now, which is not far, I feel just a sense of satisfaction that I'm actually getting answers. I'm making
Right.
progress. I'm seeing it unfold right in front of me every day. It's crazy.
That is awesome, man, and I'm glad to hear that. And I know it's gonna continue. And again, I ain't forget to once I get off, I'll send you that. I'll send you that list. I saw your email right before I came on.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right. Now it's up to you. You can turn your camera if you could stay, whatever you want. If you want to interject, I mean, you're in here. You can come and go. You got the link. If you want to leave and you want to come back, that's fine. But you got the link now, so that's entirely up to you. All right.
I'm gonna hang out. All right.
All right. The last thing I want to do is just go over the conflict section, and then what I'm going to do is, if anybody wants to come in and ask a question, make a statement, or build, it's just that easy. I see your name. Just tell me you want to come in, because your screen name is your Gmail name. All I got to do is just send you the link to your email. All right, let's get Raven Heck. I'm going to send you the link. You going to come in? Jack is here, so you better bring your ass in here for a minute. I know you're busy, but let me bring you in real quick. I'm sending the link to you right now, Raven Hacker. And maybe we could talk a little bit about the show Thursday. Send it to your 9195 Gmail. So if you want to come in for a quick minute, I know you're busy, you're probably gonna be busy tonight, but if you got time to swing in for a quick minute, I just sent you the link. I know Jack would like to hear from you. Quick minute, if you can swing in. But anyway, I just sent you the link. If you want to come in, come in. All right, I'm going to go over conflict while we're waiting for her, and then we'll briefly talk about Thursday night's show, which is going to be a good show. We'll talk a little bit about it, and we'll do it like this. It'll be a live feed like this, and it'll be broadcasting live on the radio show at the same time, all right? All right, conflict. All right, there we go. We got her.
In the dark, in the dark.
In the dark, driving, huh?
Driving.
All right, so what are you close to being where you need to be?
No, I'm never close to being wherever I need to be. I have so far to go. There's so much work that needs to be done. And as the brother stated, this is some exciting shit. And it was nice to hear that, because that has been my deal. That's what people just don't get. And that's how you know too if someone is really truly on the path. And just by what he states, he's on it. He's on. What's up, Jack? What's up? What's up, bro?
Stop it, man. Why you look like you're running from the police? You look like you look back and everything. They after me, dog.
I'm always running. This motherfucker. I'm always, 95. You got to watch how these people drive. Okay.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
What else you got? Go ahead.
You was going to ask me something. What you wanted to ask?
Oh no, what I wanted to go briefly, the Thursday night show. I got one more section here, conflict, which ain't gonna be long. I'm gonna finish with that. So I plugged in the show. I posted the show. Actually, here's the thing to tell you, I got the most, because when you send the link out for the show, it has an invite. People respond back. So just to give you the heads up, I got more invites for this show than I did for Sebastian's show. So I'm just letting you know. You're gonna have to bring it. Bring that A game.
Okay, I have to bring it. No, them just some lonely motherfuckers ain't got no dates for Valentine. So they want to sit. They want to sit up there and listen to me. They want to sit up there and listen to me yap about some shit.
But we're gonna. I figure it's the perfect date to talk about that. We're gonna talk about, relationships, insecurities in those relationships.
Yes, sir.
One of the things I would like to talk about, also, some of the men might get aggravated, grown-ass men that prowl on young-minded women. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We're going to get into it. We got to go in hard. We're going to.
Well, that's how I like to go in. I go in no other way. I'm straight, no chaser. I don't color it. And I'm not going to color it, because that's enough of that. Enough of that shit. Enough of that coloring shit. We all need to address our bullshit. And once we start addressing ours, look at this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm driving. Once we start addressing our own bullshit, is only will we be better for anything else. And people need to, understand how relationships work, how you need to work on yourself. First and foremost, you can't fix nobody, or you only can fix yourself. And getting all these here, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it already. Getting all these here, doing all this love magic for somebody, and you're not working on yourself is just asinine to me. You fix yourself, that shit just gonna come.
That's right. Well, yeah. Well. That's the other thing. I'm gonna put in these headphones so I can. But that's the other thing. That when I put these on, man, I want to make sure you guys can still hear me. But no, that's important. I didn't put them on. I ain't plug it in yet.
Oh, okay.
But it shouldn't be a problem because it's not like when you got the radio going at the same time.
I know, right?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What I'm gonna say is I think that's a good topic to address. I think a lot of people have an issue when it comes to relationships. Is like this is true. Like men don't know how to give women what they want, right? What women really want. They want to feel love, right? And men just want respect,
right? Not
too much more love. So it's kind of like if you kind of play your position in the right roles and you know how to deal with each other, and it's always kind of just giving each other what each other want. But I think the biggest problem is that people, especially people, kind of feel like they're afraid to give each other what they want.
That's right.
Okay, wait a second, Jack. Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject. But how do people do that? How do people do that? Maybe Jack need to be on that show. So how do people do that? How do I know what you want?
Well, the thing is that
how do I know? How do you know exactly what it is I want?
Hey, Jack, just turn the camera on and do like the dude from Chappelle when he goes across the screen.
No, we can have a real. No, let's do that for. I'm gonna jump on the show after. Let's let me do his thing. I'm gonna jump on the show because I think it's gonna be a great conversation.
Oh, it is.
I want to give my perspective.
It is.
Yeah, you gotta jump on the show, bro.
Yo, Jack, just surprise us at any point. I'm telling you, just turn this shit on and just come across the screen like that and shit. Just do it. I'm telling you, that shit will be funny as hell. No, but anyways, that'll be a really, really, really good topic. So I basically wanted you to, come on, plug it in. It's posted, and a lot of people responded to it a lot.
Well, I would like for people to have input and let's dialogue about it. Right. We're adults, and we're gonna talk about everything, not only just what a relationship is and how to do your best to function within it. Right. And what gives me the right and authority to want to talk on relationships? Mm-hmm. Well, because I know I can.
I can't. That's right. That's it.
Okay, it's simple as that. Nobody needs. Nobody needs to know my relationship status. But I'm married. But I can experience and wisdom in it. Point blank. Period. That's why. Okay.
Cool.
And it's only for all of us to grow and learn. That's it. That's it.
Right. No,
so
good
I
point.
hope everyone, tune in and let's start a dialogue, and that's a constructive dialogue where.
Yeah, and the reason why this is very important mm-hmm. because a lot of people struggle or have problems on this path because of their relationships, because they might be with a significant other. One, in addition to the personal interaction, there might be incompatibility there. And we're going to also talk about stop just searching just for the physical thing. Another huge issue is people think they're going to convert motherfuckers. That's the other problem. You think you're going to find, well, that's a problem. And I deal with a lot of clients that have that problem. They find somebody and think they're going to mold them.
That's mentality, because that's what church people do. They want to mold you.
Well, hey, let's keep it real. We got church-minded mentality people on this path and this too. And I did a video earlier today where I was talking about, don't think, just like in the church, the masjid, in any of these conscious circles, you got fucked up ass people. Don't think because somebody's on this path and says they're left-hand path and they wear a pentagram or a Baphomet chain, that makes them legit. The same way we go in on the Hotep is we got to go in on the phonies that are on this path too. And there's a lot of them. Let's keep it real.
True indeed.
Let's not front like everybody that says they left-hand path is left-hand path. But the difference is on this path, fake and the funk will come to the surface. You can't do it on this path. That's the difference. You can do it on them other paths. You can hide. There's things you can hide behind to mask your bullshit. The problem is on this path, you're held accountable for your actions. That's the difference. See, a lot of them other paths, you're not held accountable because you can bullshit maneuver your way through, you know what I'm saying, and fake the funk and you could slide with certain things. No, you come amongst certain people on this path in a certain circle, you're gonna be held accountable for your shit. So that's the difference. All right. But yeah, we'll go in hard on that. Now, what I'm gonna do, you got anything else you want to add before I finish this last section?
Go ahead and finish that last section.
All right, I'm gonna keep you there if you want. You can, if you want to turn the camera off, that's fine. You can stay at this, or you can whatever. Yep. Probably muting your sound is the most important. Just make sure if you know. I don't want to hear you cursing out any drivers and shit. Okay.
I won't.
All right. I'm gonna finish this last section, and then we're just gonna open. We're gonna finish with this open dialogue. All right. All right. Conflict is the means by which the Sith. This is the last one here. Is the means by which the Sith adept tests what he has learned. Now, let's not just say he, also she. Discards failed ideas and keeps himself from falling asleep. It is a reflection of the natural order in which all life struggles endlessly for supremacy and thereby renews itself and grows stronger. We fight because it is how we prove the power of our philosophy, our passion, and our path. Together, these tools can be used to deconstruct any idea. The tools we just went through. So I'm going through these to show you these are, I mean, there's other things you could add to this. Do you have to just strictly use this? Absolutely not. But rather than just talk about things now, we want to show a methodology of how you can actually utilize them and apply them, right? All right. Together, these tools can be used to deconstruct any idea, immunize against any mimetic virus, optimize one's mental functioning, and maximize one's power. Use zazen or meditation to become aware of your memes. Then use logic to decide which memes are beneficial and which are harmful. Use psychedelics if you choose to blow the doors, open up that perception or consciousness. Immerse yourself into nature to connect the raw life energy and the dark tale of evolution. Use memetics as a way to think objectively about your own mental ecosystem and cultural programming. Use logic to decide which memes to implant, which to retain, and which to reject. Use conflict as the final test to determine which memes are fit enough to survive and which must die. This is working with your inner chaos, people. Conflict is just another polite word for that, right? Because along with conflict comes chaos. So when you're testing yourself via that conflict or chaos, this is how you can gauge yourself. Are you now able and successful to work with this? But let's continue. Be warned, however, deconditioning using these tools of inner destruction is risky business. Here's where the sound mind comes in. Pay attention to this. One not only risks one's sanity, but one may begin to find conditioned existence within society difficult to bear and start looking for a way out. This is where you got to be careful, the disconnect. This can be becoming a hermit, a radical, a madman, or suicidal, or some combination of these. I'm going to elaborate on this because this is important. But it can also mean becoming a prophet, a visionary, or man or woman of power, an awakened being. So for would-be dark lords, the risks are necessary. The choice whether or not to take these red pills and see how deep the rabbit hole goes, or take the blue pill of conditioned existence, using a little matrix analogy, and go back to sleep is, of course, yours. If you do choose to take the path of inner destruction and survive within your mind intact, you will be ready for the next stage of endarkment, the forging of the saber mind. I'm going to go into that on the next one. I'm not going to get into the saber mind now and what that represents. I will tap into that next time. Now, I want to elaborate real quick, and then again, whoever wants to come in, just type it in the chat, and I'll send you the link. Don't be shy, people. Bring your asses in here. Let's talk. Let's build. All right? I'm trying to do this so we can get group participation. And again, we're going to use this same format when we do the radio show. You'll be able to use it on both platforms. You'll see it here like this, and you'll hear it live and see it live on the radio show. I want to touch on that last statement to make it clear. It's not a statement to create fear. It is an advisory and an advice you should take seriously. Now, I want to say this. If you are dealing with some mental struggles and you know this, you want to be it doesn't mean you can't do work. It doesn't mean there's certain things you can't do. But I would say don't take on more than you might be able to handle at the moment. I'm talking now. I'm speaking to any individual. You don't even have to be here and watching live right now. I'm also making this statement for when this video uploads and people watch it later or down the road, or somebody stumbles across this months from now. I'm speaking to the individual that knows they're dealing with some psychological issues. I wouldn't start and go into a lot of the intense work. As far as the tools are concerned for inner destruction, I would start with the basic in the beginning, meditation, applying certain concepts via your logic, question, your logic and your outlook on things. Those are things you can definitely start out with. Obviously, I know this might sound oxymoron to say, I definitely wouldn't fuck with psychedelics. I mentioned that when I went through it. I think nature emerging or using some form of connection with nature, how it described in the tools, is something also a person could do. That if you, I'm speaking to the person that might be dealing. What do I mean with somebody that's dealing with psychological issues? Maybe it's somebody that's on a lot of medications and has had psychological disorders in the past, or has ongoing things they might be struggling with now, or on and off consistently. I want to be clear, because I always try to give people the right advice. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you what to do and not to do, but I got to tell you for what it is. I would never want to give anybody instruction that can be more harmful to them than beneficial. So I want to be clear on that statement. It can, and the reason why, it can create issues. Now, I want to also speak to the other person. Outside of that person that knows for a fact they're dealing with issues like that, I want to also speak to the space cadet. This is important. To all you to you astronauts that go to Spookville on a regular basis. I need to talk to you. Don't take this as a game, right? You heard the brother earlier, just a few minutes ago. Obviously, Raven Hecker always drops it real. Brother Jack, who I'm sure will be back here in a minute when we're done with this. This is not something that is easily obtained just by dabbling in it. You dabble in a quick piece of pussy for a minute and you get out. That's dabbling. When you want to dabble and just, a one night stand, a quick poking, that's dabbling. You don't do that in this path. There's not a one night stand. All right. This is something you have to put consistent work in, be serious about, but be in the right frame of mind. What do I mean by spookyvilles? All right. People that want to, let me see what's going to happen. Let me experiment. That could be a good and a bad thing. But what I'm saying is, if you take on something that you really might not be ready to take on, that's why I said it can create chemical imbalances. It can create psychological disorders. You can become, some people disconnect. I've seen that, and become super hermit. They become what they call introverts. They don't really want to deal with people no more. They don't want to deal with society. They're just to themselves. It can activate certain aspects of your nature where it can dominate you or activate a certain behavior which might not necessarily be a positive thing for you at the moment. Make sure you're in full understanding. That's why I say of what you are doing, because if you're taking on more than you can handle, it can become a burden. What do I mean by that? You always hear me say, your mind is like a computer. It absorbs everything you put into it. But just like a computer can overload and malfunction when it takes too much data, same thing can happen with your mind, your subconscious. These things happen. It's a reality. How do you prevent that? The next question is, it's one thing to talk about these things, the risks, and I'm glad in that last tool they addressed that, because that's important. We'd be doing an injustice if that wasn't addressed. How do you prevent that? It's very simple. You prevent that by being consistent in your work and your study. If you're doing work that's connected to this, and necessarily don't have to be the Sith path, if you're using the tools and you're applying them regularly and consistently, I can guarantee you will avoid that 100% wholeheartedly. Where it tends to fuck up is where you jump into something half-assed. And I'm not talking about somebody that randomly jumps into an experience but has the knowledge and they're not worried about trying to figure out the experience. I'm talking about somebody that doesn't have any of the knowledge or did any type of work and just randomly jumps in. That's where I see people, tend to go a little nutty buddy. I got to keep it real. So let's make sure we're doing our due diligence in that area. All right, so those are the tools for the path of inner destruction. We're going to deal in the last video I'm going to do before the ritual on the 22nd. We're going to talk about the saber mind. In the movie, they called it the Empire State of Mind, right? We're going to talk about that level, that way of thinking. So we talked about behavior and will in the first one. Now we talked about the tools on the path of inner destruction. You see what that involves now. It's basically a more detailed path of deconstruction and reconstruction because you are destroying all the old ways about yourself. Let's make this clear. What did it say in that first? All the ideologies, the indoctrinations, the religious beliefs, the faith system, the dogmas. You got to strip all of that away. Then when that's stripped all away, it brings to the surface the good and bad things about yourself. Your strengths, but most importantly, your weaknesses. You start, like, again, you heard the brother who came on shortly ago, Brother Tizia. I hope I'm not butchering the name, brother. You heard him explaining how he started uncovering shit. He's 48-year-old grown man, but shit is coming to the surface when he was 14 and 15 that he started to realize had more of an impact on him than he thought. That's how you know you're tapped in and you're doing work. It's that fucking simple. So now you can address it. And now once you address it, conquer it, and you move past it, now it's like, what's next? And you just keep going. And that's why I say it's consistent work. It's a never-ending process. You're constantly doing work on yourself. You will never get up and go, oh, man, everything is done, man. I'm good. I got it all figured out. I'm the motherfucking man or I'm the motherfucking woman. It doesn't work like that, people. Trust me when I tell you. So that's what the path of inner destruction is about. It's a very intensified path of deconstructing all the false bullshit about yourself. And then you come to the reality, and one thing you start to realize is, wait, I spent majority of my life portraying myself how I wanted to be seen or who I thought I was. And I've been avoiding my whole life who I really am. That's the difference. This path makes you see who you really are. Regardless of who you think you are, you can keep playing the role, because I watch people come on this path in the beginning. They still play that role of that persona that they want people to see them as. But as they start doing more of the work, all that bullshit gets stripped away. And then they say, you know what? I'm not really who I thought I was. And that could be a good thing. Because, yes.
Wait.
Jack, come on, man. You ain't going to do it.
No, what I'm saying is, like, when you when you get that realization of that, when you hit that point,
Talk to him,
like,
brother.
What the fuck? Like, you realize, like,
it's like getting hit with a train.
Yes, and you start realizing, like, why the fuck I've been fucking with these people for? When you realize certain people have been holding you back, you realize that, what happened is you start finding your real tribe. You start finding who you're really supposed to be dealing with, right? And sometimes you get to a certain point when you come to that realization, you realize, like, you kind of like wanting to say to yourself for a little bit, because you're just like, you start reflecting, and it's like, okay, I should have been moving like this, but I'm moving like this, but why, right? And it goes back, and everything ties back to what you read in the beginning of that book, when you were saying that how you're trying to shed away, all the things, what I say, like the knowledge has been given to you from your circumstances, from your reality. Sure. People have been putting things in your mind, so it makes you thinking, like, all right, so you think about it as a whole, you're like, okay, like, your life has been a lie. You realize you've been living a whole lie. But again, when you come to your truth, because somebody's truth could be different. When it comes to your own truth, you come to the realization of your own truth, right? You start moving right. But it's crazy because you're doing all this work on the left-hand path just to find your truth, not nobody else's truth or a truth that's in a book or
Well,
anything.
you
It's
know
your
what?
truth.
Remember that phrase? Think about, listen to this, a phrase they always fed us. I don't think we understand it though.
Yeah, yeah.
Herein lies the truth. Think about it for a minute. Here in
And
those lies is the
yeah,
truth. So we hear the
yeah.
phrase fed to it. Herein lies the truth. Why the fuck would somebody say that? Think about it. See, that's where my mind goes sometimes.
Damn. I got you that.
Herein lies the truth. In those lies is the truth. It's just they take this indoctrination that you're talking about, and what they do is they just shape it and form it of how they want to spoon feed it to you. And then there's a systematic, and especially with religion, there's a systematic program of the way it's presented. So it gets locked in our mind because look, I've found and we have this discussion a lot. What is one thing we always say on this bet? Like we see, look, I love the newcomer that comes. We get a lot of these, and I was talking to Raven Hecker about this too a few days ago, and she could probably chime in on this. I know you could chime in on this, Jack, too. How many people have we seen over the years? That person that comes in out of the blue, hardcore. They hardcore. They so. I mean, look, you laugh because about a ton of motherfuckers ran through your head. They come on, they so hardcore, they so down, this and that. I find it's the ones that are so extreme, and they come off with that vibe. They fall off quicker than anybody else.
Well, why? I'm always trying to think. Why so extreme though? Why they so extreme with it? I don't get it.
Because there's so much insecurities and issues that they're dealing with, and that extremity changing drastically from one thing to another, they've convinced themselves via that illusion that that's going to make that shit go away. And then when it's not what they thought it was, then they go back to doing what they used to do, or they leave and they go somewhere else. They're confused, and confusion is not necessarily a good thing in a situation like that. But we've seen it. I could say we could be here all night talking about how many motherfuckers we seen come and go, space cadets.
Yeah.
Leaving the rituals because they can't. Oh, I gotta go. The spirits.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
We've had we had one. I ain't gonna say their name. We ain't gonna do that. Man. We had one motherfucker. I swear to God, it's a true story. And I know. Brother Jack was there. Raven was there. And after the ritual, this particular person came up to us. Well, she came up to me first and was like, Brother Beniti, I gotta go. I'm like, what's the matter? My heart's caving in. I feel like it's just so intense. Now, mind you, okay, pay attention to this, people. Mind you, the work we were doing wasn't anything dealing with intensity. It was more of a healing type of work. Right? Remember, we had this discussion afterwards when we were like, all right, hold on. Now, everybody that was there in that ritual, and I believe that night, there's probably about 11, 12 people there, I'm going to say. 10 to 12 people, roughly. Now, after we had dialogued afterwards, we like to all sit around and everybody shares their experience. Now, obviously everything wasn't identical, but everybody had a similar experience is the way I want to describe it. Now, how does everybody have a similar experience? Now, I'm not saying because somebody had a different experience that makes it wrong. What we had came to the conclusion, which was clear, the effects of what that person was suffering was a message from what they should be working on. You understand? That's why you were because if you were getting the anti to what was the work was actually detailed around, your inner self or your personal daemon was communicating to you that you're lacking in those areas. And that's where you need to work right now. That's why you got the physical feeling or experience that you experienced in that particular work. Now, to get terrified and run from it was probably the wrong thing to do. I mean, whatever. But that's the shit that I'm talking about. But go ahead.
Hey, brother, I just wanted to rewind to what you were saying about not being who you thought you were, right?
Go ahead.
So coming into the realization, like I told you about, just all the stuff that was coming up about, who I had this idea, this person, I guess this avatar I built up, right? It hit me so hard. I was actually I was listening to one of your videos last week, and you were speaking about I forget what it was coming from, but the aspect was saying that, you know, there's a public, you could do a public, um, um, you know, I don't know, a public outing of yourself or what have you
Sure.
to help, you know, cement you on that path.
Correct.
And basically what that drove me to do, man, I sat my family down over the weekend and, you know, I kind of stripped myself down and I told them, you know, I apologize for the areas where I failed you, you know,
Wow.
and it felt, you know, it was scary at first, but it felt liberating afterwards.
That's right.
But it felt even better when my kids was just like accepting, like, all right, Dad, it's you know, whatever you need, you know, whatever you need to do, we with you from here.
That's
You know?
right. And that speaks volumes, brother. Just the very fact that I'm hearing that and seeing it, and I know you know this, that speaks more volumes to them than we could actually even put into words. But go ahead.
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, that's just the level to which, you know, this you have to be invested in riding this out, you know, and getting every day working on yourself and getting, you know, better and better every day. Is just, you know, every day I try to do something different than what I know I shouldn't have been doing to build up that avatar in the beginning, you know.
And I like the way you use that meme avatar. See, you're doing, whether you're, I mean, you may be conscious of it or not, you're doing what one of the tools representing. You're using a meme, a symbol, and you're recognizing that you're using it now, and you're conveying that, not just a personal message to yourself, but I'm connecting. And I like that concept. Like you say, I think we all create these fictitious avatars, how we want people to see us. And I like that. So I'm going to roll with that for the moment. That's a good example. I think a lot of us spend majority of our lives creating this avatar that we want people to see us as. Look, I know we like to look. I'm not saying leave yourself open and vulnerable. I'm not saying just, you know, you can't expose everything to everybody, but you have to really express, and that deals with throat chakra. You have to really express yourself the right way, like the way you open yourself up, like you explained with your kids and your family. That's a different level of coming to a realization that obviously you just can't do with anybody, but you're even sharing an aspect of it with it now. And that in itself is a stage of regeneration and growth. By, like you're saying, look, man, you know, I wasted time and energy on this false avatar, but that's some powerful shit. But go ahead.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I just wanted to relay that because, you know, what you were saying about not knowing who you think you are. You know,
That's right.
That really vibed with me. I had to just had to put that out there for everybody.
No, and I appreciate it. And feel free to chime in anytime. And I'm going to say this: I went through it years ago when I was on all the paths I was on. I was so busy wanting to be, you know, Mr. You know, militant, save the world, and I realized that I was so bitter and angry for all the shit that I dealt with in my life, whether it was family issues, losing loved ones. I was looking for an avenue to vent, and I thought by merging myself, and those that know me years ago, and Jack can attest to this. I mean, you know, he didn't know me back in the 80s and 90s, but he knows me since the early 2000s. He can tell you, and I mean, he came through towards the tail end when I was on that shit. He knows. I mean, I was hardcore out there like that, and I thought I was on this mission, and I really thought, like a lot of these hoteppers, that I was doing the right thing. I mean, if you knew me back then, I was aggressive and hardcore with it, and I realized that was a front. That's what I wanted people to see me as, because that was the venue I was using as an outlet, not to deal with my frustration and anger. And I realized that, yo, look, this is really what I'm thinking and feeling, but I just don't know how to put it out there. And as I started to get into my real emotions, I started to realize all that hotepper conscious shit that I was doing, I felt an instamatic disconnect with it. I wasn't vibing with it no more. I saw the inconsistencies. The shit started to feel like church to me. I felt like I was just going through the motions, because that was a telltale sign of what you're talking about, brother. Reality starts to come to the surface. And then I had to immediately say, look, I got to make a drastic change. I can't do this no more. And we're all going to deal with it on different levels, but that's a beautiful thing. And because we're going to deal with it on different levels, because we're all going through different shit. Not everybody's dealing with the same shit. And that's important to understand. But right on point. If there is anybody else here that wants to come in the room live, just tell me. I'll send you the link to your Gmail. So I don't know if anybody else here wants to come in. I just send it to your name. It usually comes up right by your name. If anybody wants to come in and speak, talk, or has a question, feel free. Send it in the chat, and I will bring you in. All right. So if you want to come in, let me know. Don't be shy. We got 30 people in here. I know somebody wants to come in. Don't be shy, people. It's your chance to speak up. You know, got the brother here, Tizia. He's speaking. Am I saying your name right? Is it Tizia or Tizia? What's the pronunciation of that, brother? I want to make sure I'm not butchering it.
Taza.
Taza. Okay. Taza. I want to make sure I'm not butchering. All right. My bad. All right. So we got brother Taza here. We got Raven here. Jack just stepped out. Probably has some midget stripper just knock on the door. He'll be back. But if anybody wants to come in, I don't see anybody right now. But if you want to come in, just type it in the chat and I'll send you the link and you can come on in and speak and let your voice be heard. All right. So I'm gonna keep rambling on until I see somebody that wants to come in. Again, why I'm going over all there's a method to my madness. All right, Jack, be back in a few. So anybody want to come in, just type in. I'll bring you in. I'll send you the link and you'll be able to come right in.
I'll say something till somebody comes in.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. And that is Tyza. That's if I'm saying his name correctly.
That's right.
Tyza.
Right. Yes.
Hello, Tyza. Okay, so
Hold on.
he makes a great point, and what I like, that what I've heard that resonate with me so much, because that's what I do. I find a way to correct those areas. That what I've heard, you know. That resonates with me so much, because that's what I do. Is there echo?
Yes, you got. I don't know if you got another device on.
That's not me.
Oh, that's Duma, man. That's you with that echo shit all the time.
Oh, my bad.
It's them damn
I
headphones.
hear myself talking like I don't want to hear myself.
Nah, that's Duma. Once I saw Duma pop up, that's Duma. Flamboyant. I'm gonna see if I can find you right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, son. I'm a flamboyant. I could probably find. Don't matter if you don't have to have a Gmail. But let me see if you come up. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Is that he finds a way to deal and work on those areas that he needs to work on, and he's not looking outside of himself to make those adjustments. And I don't think I don't know if that was caught, because that's what I heard anyways, was that he wasn't looking outside of himself to, you know, make adjustments. He's going within, and he's doing work. I don't know if people are not listening to him. This brother is doing the work. He's not afraid to do the work.
Sister, if I can add something to that, right? So here's my thing. Been through a lot of things in my life, right? And looking for answers in all different places. And you know, been to therapy, talking to my, you know, real close, you know, boys or whatever. And all of those things that I use never satisfied me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it never, like, talking to somebody, they'd be like, yeah, I understand what you're going through. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I went through, oh yeah, I'm on your side. You know, this person's wrong, blah, 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 blah. Right. But never, it's like, I still felt like I'm by myself. So when I started hearing, you know, it's about you, go inside yourself, it was like, you know what? Maybe that's the answer. You know, and that is the answer. It's about you. It's about looking inside yourself for the answers you need to make yourself what you need to be, with who you really are. That's what I realized.
There you go.
That's it. And that's it. He couldn't say it no better than that. And that's true. It resonates so well with me. because that's the only way that you can get through it. The psychologists, psychiatrists, family, friends, no one can figure it out but you. I've been there, brother. I called my mom one day. I was at work. I was going through so much. I literally called my mother. I can see it as if it was yesterday. And I called her and told her the next phone call she got, I was gonna be checked in somebody mental institute. Okay.
Mm.
So I realized the depth of it, but I realized I was the only one that was left to fix it. That no one else can, because like you, I have done all the reaching out and I was just left with just me. So mm-hmm. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you on that. But I think people just cannot be afraid to take that leap. Um, it's not
And one
easy.
second,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Firon, I just sent you the link. I just sent it to your email, your Yahoo email, so you can come in when you're ready. Go ahead, and Baffa, I'm about to
No,
send it to you. Go ahead.
no, not a problem. It's not easy. It is definitely work. Your life will definitely change. Even to Jack's point, people will fall off. People will eventually start falling off. Ah, but I, as you, wouldn't change it for nothing in the world because it's the work that needed to be done. I'm getting ready to have a breakthrough. I can't tell you about my day to day. When I tell you I feel good right now, I feel good. Because I, I'm overcoming obstacles, and doing work brings forth the stuff that you need to work on, because a lot of it is hidden deep down from childhood, right? We have been so conditioned on so many levels, and the more you do the work, the more it's going to bring those areas that needs to be addressed. And look, it's a beautiful thing.
Most
It's a
definitely.
beautiful thing. Yep, yep.
Most definitely. Brother Doomer, you got something you want to add?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Oh, okay. All I was going to say is, I was looking at one of your videos the other day. The one that I think it's titled "Stop Faking the Funk." I think coming from the path that I came from,
Right.
there was a whole lot of faking the funk that
Big time.
I had put myself into a state of denial for so long. In that, because something always told me inside myself, this is not it. But I kept ignoring it, putting it in the background.
Me too.
It would come up all the time. This is not it. I'm like, yeah, but what else am I going to do?
Yep.
So I just hung in there. Till one day I was sitting in a meeting, and cats are trying to convince you that, yeah, we have to make sure that he has the best and all this other type of stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm here struggling. You talking about he gotta have the best? Come on, man, this don't make no sense. That day, I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go.
It's funny you bring that up. That's what I meant when I was just talking about a few minutes ago. And I know me and you have had private conversations about that, where I remember back in them days in the 90s, that's when I really started veering off and doing cult shit on the side. Like I started out like with candle magic, doing some of the lighter cult practices in the mid to late 90s. But that wasn't accepted widely in those conscious Hotep circles or those, conscious circles. And I was struggling with at the time, why is my spirit directing me here? But in those doctrines that we was in, that was something that was frowned upon. Like, oh, you don't fuck with that type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I struggled with, like you were saying, going through the motions, like, something within you said that, look, it's time to move on. But then you kept pulling. I like to call it, look, we all have these voices or advisors that speak to us, that are part of our nature and our personality. One of the struggles we fight and face is, how do we make sense of what advice we're getting from these advisors is correct? Because all of those voices, right, are not always beneficial for your path. And the challenge is figuring that out sometimes. But I struggled with the same exact thing that you said. At 1 minute, there was the right advisor voice was telling me, look, it's time to move on. You outgrown this shit. It's over. It's time to move on to bigger and better things. But then there was that lower, weaker self-advisor that would go, no, but you've been doing this for so long, blah, blah, blah. That's the one that fucking jams you up, because it's usually that first advisor that's telling you the right information. And that's the shit that I'm talking about. And I've realized as I was doing the cult work on the side, like, look, this is making me see it. And then I was in that conflict, like it described in them last tools. Hold on, Flamboyant, I'm gonna send it again. Yeah, I just sent it to you, to your Yahoo. Hold on, I'm gonna send it again. I sent the link to BAFA too. Hold on, it confirmed it went.
The funny thing is, the excuse I made was a path puller pulled me off the path. You know when they talk about the path pullers, the sisters you get with, and they try to convince you to come off the path or whatever, whatnot. That was my excuse for finally leaving. A sister I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah, I just sent it again, Fire, and it went to that email you typed in, the one you typed in the chat. It just went there. I just confirmed it. It's on the screen now. So check again. I just sent it. It should be there.
Yeah,
Maybe
he saw it. He has it.
Oh, he has it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you should be able to get in. And BAFA, I sent it to you at 9999 at Gmail. So you should have the link when you are ready to come in. But no, go ahead, Duma. Those are good points, though. But that's I mean, obviously, we at those times we had a similar connection, so I could relate to what you're talking about. But most definitely.
That was it.
Okay, cool. And I'm glad, people are sharing their experiences, because the purpose of bringing people in is not just to have rhetoric dialogue. I want you to share with people your work, your experiences. So when we're talking about these topics and these paths, I want, and again, I want to make this clear when we're discussing work like this. I want to make this clear. There's not a right or a wrong way. That doesn't exist. The right way is the way you need to do it for yourself. That's the right way. There is no right, there's no wrong way, because again, what are you gauging that right and wrong concept up to? That is a religious mind state that needs to be eliminated. That's a behavior or a way of thinking that needs to be eliminated from the way you think, because I see that where people struggle with a lot with that. This, right or wrong way type of thing. And I don't really connect with that on that level on this path no more. That doesn't even exist. All right. So the right way is the way you need to lay out and map for yourself that's going to work for you, that's going to be beneficial for you, that's going to get you the results you need to get. And the thing is, that way is not going to be completely identical to the way everybody else is doing it. That's what you need to understand. That's step one to eliminating that way of thinking from your mind frame. Now, why? The reason why is because, as I said earlier, everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody's life experiences, though we might have some similar, connections on certain levels, but everybody's life and path is unique in the self that it's unique and different to them. You don't compare or liken your journey, your plight to the next person's. Now, you can dialogue with an individual, again, that has similar life experience and help and assist in that growth, no doubt. But at the end of the day, you're going to find the only person you got is yourself. It is a lonely path in the sense that you realize after you strip everything else away, the only thing that is a reality, step one first, is you. And once you understand that really you bring all that other stuff into your circle. That's the stuff you clung on to connect and make you feel secure on whatever level it is you needed to feel secure on. So the people that you bring into your circle, you sent that energy there, and those people and that energy gravitated towards you. The condition and the circumstance, you drew that to yourself. You understand? You may not realize it. You may not accept responsibility for it sometimes, but that's why you're in the position you're in. You feel the way you feel. Your personality is the way it is. Your emotions are shaped the way it is because of what you brought and attracted to yourself. Now, we don't look at it like that because we think there's, again, I'm speaking in general, not so much the people that might be on the path. I'm saying, anyway, I'm sorry, I was looking at something in the chat. We may not look at it like that when we're on maybe the path in the beginning, or people that may not be on this path, but we're going to find out. That's what we mean when we talk about accountability, taking responsibility for your actions and your decisions. And as I said, that removes the spooky concept of this thing that people like to call karma and make it religious. Karma is nothing but cause and effect. It's that simple. I'm not even going to go, I know people like to get all deep and intricate with it and get into all this metaphysical stuff. To me, that's over conceptualizing it. It's not really necessary. Karma is quite simple. It's cause and effect. What is the cause and effect? Your decisions and choices you make are the cause. And by those decisions are the effects that's going to manifest from those decisions. It's that simple. It don't mean, now look, there's basic cause and effect karma. Like I mentioned this before, and I know it sounded fun. If you just go randomly slap some old lady because you think it's funny, there's a good chance somebody's going to come back and whoop your ass. And probably somebody related to that old lady, or somebody that just don't tolerate that shit. That's like foolishly creating some form of karma. I'm not talking about that type of shit. I'm speaking more from a mental and a spiritual perspective. The choices you make for your spirituality is going to reflect what comes back and resonates, what energy and vibration and frequency you're going to start tapping into, what you're going to start to attract, right? I always refer to this as something my mother used to always say. You are the company you keep. I've mentioned this before on several videos. If you're hanging around lowlifes, losers, unsuccessful people, guess what? Guess what you got a good, well over an 85, 90% chance of evolving into? A lowlife, a loser, and an unsuccessful person. If you keep the company of like-minded people that have goals, that are on this path per se, that are doing productive things, that's gonna bounce and reflect off to you, and you're gonna tap into that same vibration and frequency, and it's gonna motivate you to do shit. But if you're hanging around a bunch of whiners and complainers and they keep finding excuses of why they're failing and why they're not successful and why they've got a million excuses and answers for why they're failing, but they can't give you one damn answer of why they can succeed. That to me is a conflicted individual.
Hi.
Hey, peace, brother. We got you, man. What's going on?
I'm good.
Good. What you got for us? You want to interject? You want to add? Go, feel free.
Oh, nothing. I'm just like, this is my very first time
You broke up a little bit. I couldn't hear
on
you.
the app and everything.
You went in and out.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you went in and out. You were fading in and out.
Oh, I'm
I can
on
hear you.
the bus.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. That's probably why. It could just be your connection. But if you got anything you want to say, feel free to interject.
Oh, no. I just like, go ahead. If there's something else that you're talking about,
Okay.
I'll add in.
Okay, cool. All right.
I love your channel, though.
I appreciate
I learned
it.
a lot.
Appreciate it. And that's the objective. And I'm hoping you and many others can learn. That's the whole point and objective. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and again, if anybody here that's still here would like to add anything, again, feel free. But the whole point of what we're discussing right now ties into this whole concept of inner destruction. Okay, people might hear that term and think, oh, that's something that sounds doesn't sound pleasant. It's not a matter of what it sounds like, it's what it is. And the things that we've discussed and the things that we went through, I think it made it clear, the tools. And again, let me also put this out there, which I think is very important. Okay, I want to make this clear. All right. You don't have to exactly you can take those tools and be creative with them, and you could connect things with those tools per se. But let's say per se that are connected to them, and you can kind of adjust it. So I want to make that clear. It's not. It is open for wiggle room to make changes. All right. Hold on one second. I just want to make that clear. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, I know there's some people in the chat that are not in here. I'm going to see what questions and comments we got in the chat. All right. So what I'm going to do is, if anybody that's here live has something in the chat, I'm just going to, for the time being, just put it on mute and go through the chat. If there's something you want to say, you can turn on your camera to get my attention. Okay. But let me address some of the people in the chat right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and mute the video, or the people that are here live, just so I'm going to focus on the chat. But again, if you are here and you're on the video portion, just turn on your camera and get my attention if you want something to add, and I'll bring you back in. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. I got to put on the old man glasses because I can't see this shit. And I know Raven Hecker, you're a moderator, so you can come in on your own. All right, people, I didn't mean to not pay attention to you guys in the chat. I'm going to go back to the top. Totally forgot about the chat room. My bad. And again, if anybody wants to come in, just let me know. I'll send you the link if you want to be heard. This is one of your last opportunities to get up on in. All right. I'm going to skip this.
Hi. What's up, Anita?
Hey, what's going on? Sister
How
Beth?
are you? Am I on this call?
You are live. Everybody can hear you and see you.
Oh, that's what's up. Good. I'm glad.
What's going on? Anything you want to add?
Not yet. I got to get some stuff together, but keep me linked up. I'll be joining y'all shortly.
All right. I'm putting it on mute. If you want to get my attention, just turn on and I'll see you.
Okay, cool.
All right. I got everybody muted now so I can focus on the chat real quick.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, cool. You got it. All right. Let's see what we got in the chat, peoples. Again, like I said earlier, check Brother Duma out. It's this piece that I'm wearing. If you came in late, he made this piece. If you go to the beginning of the chat, he makes different pieces. I know Sister Baffa makes pieces also. There's probably other people in here. Feel free to hit any one of them up for that type of stuff. I know they're both in here now. You see their emails, their information. So if you're interested in any type of pieces like that, feel free to contact them. And this particular piece I'm wearing right now, Brother Duma actually made this piece. All right, this is just a sample of some of his work, and he's got different pieces. All right, let me see what else we got here.
I don't see a comment until Be Like Water, but I'm not sure if I can go all the way up to the top.
What time was that at? You'll save me time. I can just get down.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the time. It's on my I grab my little.
I'm scrolling through it. I'm on my tablet because when you use this platform here, which is fine, you got to be on two devices. You can't see the chat. Got to have two devices going. It's the only way it works.
Yeah.
Are you talking about 814? I see it. I think I see it right here. No, I actually see.
Do you have any recommendations on how to do a spell for someone that is battling for custody of their child?
Right.
Trying to ask me to do a spell with Santissima.
Okay, good question. I'm going to also just want to read the comment right above that by Tarek, which is the dark room meditation. And I like the way he described, make that natural DMT, and the dark room meditation is the best. And you have naturally in your brain, dark room meditation, a room with no light will increase your natural DMT. Don't go using drugs. I'm in agreement with that. I'm not judging anybody. I want to make that clear. That does, but I feel what he's saying right there. And the reason why, let me something up here also that he comments on. There was a brother. And I don't think this is the same brother. I could be wrong. There was another brother, and I've done some work with him and his wife. They're out in Washington. And he came on, and I think I don't know if this is the same brother. If it is, brother, just make it be known. You could be the same brother. And he was on one night, and he talked about taking a shower in complete darkness. I don't know if people remember that. And he makes a ritual out of it as being purified and cleaned in that darkness. There's some serious shit in that because I tried it, and it is very invigorating is the word I'd like to use. It's like being emerging from the womb. It's like symbolically what I like to call it. So it made me think of what Tarek just put in there. The dark room meditation, getting in tune with those true thoughts and tapping into those, higher spiritual planes of existence, or whatever you want to call it. It can lead to many different spiritual experiences, astral traveling, high states of transcendental meditation, etc. So I think that is a good suggestion. That's something I want to throw out there and point out. Some of you might have saw it earlier that he typed in. Some of you might not have. I do use the complete darkness. I've done that. I would suggest people try that. No light, no candles, no nothing. Just pure silence and darkness. I've talked about this on older videos. You can feel free where you're going to do it. Less windows to me is better. Obviously, nighttime would be more productive. But if you have a room with no windows, obviously you can do it at any point in the day. Try it. You'll be surprised what comes. All right. So I see the next one, Raven. Brother Beniti, do you have any recommendations on how to do a spell for someone that is battling custody of their child? Their friend asked me to do a spell with Santa Muerte for her. Yes. All right. If you're doing work like that, now I'm going to give you the basics. There's certain things I don't, and I'm not saying this for spooky reasons. There's certain things I don't want to talk about on the air. There are plenty of things you can do in regards to that if you're dealing with custody battle of a child. I'm gonna throw some pointers out. Maybe that person can send me an email, but let me one, if you can get the opposing lawyer's name. I'm not gonna get into detail why, but if you can get the opposing lawyer's name, if you do have the name of the judge that's working on the actual case or that's handling it, if you also have the locale, which I'm sure of where this process is being done, and then if you're working with the Holy Death, there's a way to petition via a pact. And we would write out in detail on parchment paper that pact. There's other things that would need to be done ritualistically. And obviously we would need the name of the opposing person that they're doing battle with the custody of the child. So I don't want to really get in. That's not something I do openly over the air. I would tell that person to reach out to me, or you yourself, and maybe there's something we can discuss privately. All right. To me, there's reasons. I don't want to really get into that here. One, there's many people watching, and there's certain things I don't expose myself to on an open forum, because remember, you sometimes have simultaneously in here 20, 30, 40 people, but usually it's 10 to 12 people that are only really speaking, if you get my point. So I wouldn't want to give away that power openly. But long story short, yes, there's plenty of things that can be done. Just depends on what that person is willing to do. But also, I'd have to say this. I would have to also talk to that person and find out the full spectrum of what went down. Because if this person is completely in the wrong, let's say, or maybe they have a lot of responsibility in this, there would be different ways to approach it if you understand, or if I'm clear on that. So there's more intricacies to this. It's not when you're approaching work like that, because in essence, that's kind of destructive work in the shape, form, and fashion. Destructive work is not necessarily annihilating somebody physically, but it's destroying certain aspects of things that's going on around them and in their life. So it is destructive magic, and that's just something I won't talk about in depth. But yes, it can be done, and I'm sure if interested, we can take it further in private. All right. All right. Where did I lost my damn. Okay, here we go. Again, T. Wells for president. I know I mentioned earlier. Thank you for the $20 donation. Appreciate that, brother. Yes, at the bottom of the channel is monetized. You can donate if you feel free. You know, I never ask for any donations, but you see that money symbol down at the bottom. You can. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you want notifications of upcoming videos, you must subscribe and hit the bell notification. So anytime there's a upcoming video or a live feed, which I pretty much do every Tuesday night, and I do shit in between that, it can be random, you'll get the notification. So subscribe and hit the notification button. All right. So let's also talk about down here. I'm looking down, people. Yes, Matthew Watson commented on this earlier when I was talking about all that religious rhetoric. Yeah, that God of the Bible is a bloodthirsty God, right? Because it's funny how religious people will condemn people, let's say, that practice African witchcraft or sorcery or African systems of spirituality that involve animal sacrifice, right? But man, how much animal slaughter is in that Bible from front to back? I mean, is it really literal? Because when you read the second book of Kings, there was I think it was King David, where he came back from war, and there's a ridiculous amount of oxen that God commanded him to slaughter, like in the hundreds. So are we literally to accept that they killed hundreds and hundreds upon the oxen, or is this symbolic? But we can go into Leviticus and find that this God loves the smell of animal flesh and blood. Because I keep telling you, pay attention. I talked about this one time before. I'm going to show you guys on the video one more time. If you look at some priests when they do a Catholic Mass, because remember, the priests of the Catholic Mass, the priesthood in the Catholic Church, in those inner mysteries, they believe they are priests after the order of Melchizedek, right? This is stuff you can find out on your surface. They believe the priesthood, obviously, according to biblical information, goes back to the Levitical priesthood in the book of Leviticus. If you watch some Catholic priests, you got to pay attention to the little signs and gestures they do. A priest that's rooted in the old school methodology of doing a Mass, watch when he takes the communion wafer and he's offering it, when the part where they say it's transubstantiation, where they're turning the bread and the wine into the body and the flesh, which is very vampiric in nature. That's a whole other story. But you'll see him take the cup or the bread prior to that, or the wafer, and he does this. He tilts the cup forward. He goes north, south, east, and west. You've probably seen this. Does it real quick. That's the same thing when they offered animal sacrifices. When you go into the book of Leviticus, they did the same thing. They trickled the blood on the four corners of the altar. Okay? Now, I'm bringing this up because that time was literal sacrifice according to the Bible. Now, remember, I'm speaking this according to as it's presented and how they accept it. So I want to make that clear. All right. When you read during those times, and to Brother Matthew's comments, 100% accurate, this is a bloodthirsty, vengeful, this God, the God of the Bible, must be literally a vampire, because he requests blood all throughout the Old Testament. He requests animal flesh. And it says, even statements in Leviticus, the aroma of the animal flesh was pleasing to this God. So why on one hand would Christians, Jews, or even Muslims be very judgmental and hypocritical and criticize people, let's say, who practice Yoruba and have aspects of animal sacrifice in their rituals, or Palo? Because that frails in comparison to the amount of blood and animal sacrificing that was done in the Torah. When you read the first 5 books, the Torah is the law, right? The first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. There's a lot of violence. God gives the command to kill and destroy. There's wars that he supports. There's rape, incest. There's all types of vengeful acts and hate going on. There's blood sacrifice. There's also in the second book of Kings where God commands the children of Israel to boil their children and eat them. And I'll get you the quote. I don't have it offhand. Email me. I'll be more than happy to email. What kind of God would condone you boiling children and eating them? It's right there in your fucking Bible in the book of Kings. And if anybody's interested in the quote, just hit me up. Actually, I could actually find it. But anyway, hit me up. I'd have to open this case. Hit me up and I'd be more than happy to email you the quote. This is the type of sick mentality God that we're dealing with. These are the same people that are quick to point fingers and think the stuff that we're talking about is crazy. But boiling children and eating them, that's not crazy. That's acceptable, right? Slaughtering and killing hundreds and hundreds and thousands of animals just in the first 5 books alone, that's okay. And that doesn't even mean when you get further down into the Book of Kings, the books of the prophets, there's more of that shit going on. But remember, it's all wiped away by the death. And then God had to pull the ultimate magic trick on you and give you his son as the ultimate sacrifice. And now let's feed off of your emotions and your pity and your guilt and your sorrow. Well, it doesn't make sense. It sounds like some fucking fiction drama play that somebody's trying to fuck with your emotions and get up inside your head, people. So don't fall for that nonsense, all right? But definitely on point with that comment, okay? And another factual statement by Matthew Watson. He says, facts, the white man can't keep us from our culture, only we can. And that's true. Nobody, regardless who you are, nobody can keep you from your culture or way of life. The only person that's going to prevent that is you. Why? That's based on the precept. If you accept, again, as I said earlier, the circumstances of your situation, you become like, remember that song back in the day by Third Base, product of your environment. That's what happens. You become a product of your environment and via the circumstances you accept via that environment, okay? I know Doom is here. He had commented on that. Scapegoats, right? And what's one of the names? And see, religious people use Azazel as their excuse of why things ran amok and why things are messed up. Because what does Azazel mean? Azazel, the scapegoat, right? They blamed and shifted all their problems on this character. The reason why shit went amok, the reason why we go astray and fall off the path, let's blame it on this fictitious character called the devil. See, that'll give us a crutch to lean on, right? But this is what they don't want to accept. And I mentioned this before. You go into the book of Isaiah, the 45th chapter, the 7th verse. And if somebody wants to pull it up, they can read it for itself. And it starts off, and I quote, I am the Lord your God. It's clear, so we know who's speaking. I am the Lord your God. I create good and I create evil. Okay, I create the light and I create the darkness. I, the Lord God, do all these things. So who's taking the full responsibility for what we're terming as good and bad, right or wrong, and evil? Nobody wants to address that. And I've asked, over the years, how many religious people and ministers and pastors I presented that quote, and they gave me some fluffy ass explanation, and they gave me some spook. See, brother, you're not in the word, so see, you don't understand what that's talking. No, don't give me your personal opinion. It's convenient when you motherfuckers want to pick and choose when it's literal, and then when it's some significant, deep, internal spiritual meaning, now you got some rhetoric to validate it. No. So you got to be clear. If you're going to present this stuff, let me know what you're claiming is literal and what's metaphorical, what's allegorical and what's literal. Don't pick and choose when it's motherfucking convenient for you, because that verse in itself is clear as day. I don't even think we need to philosophize and interpret it and get some mystical breakdown, because it's clear as day what it says right there. It's not a rocket science. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, and Sorek 3. And Sorek 3, I didn't forget. I'm going to get back to you on that dagger. I know I've been busy. I will get back to you on that and give you the information. But good comment, too. When the air mask drops from the airplane, you put your mask on first, save yourself first. And that's when we were talking about earlier, and Brother Jack was bringing up, the first law of preservation in the universe is you must survival. And we were talking about earlier, if you came in late, bottom line is this. Look, how can you save the whole fucking world if you ain't right yourself? And we're spoon-fed these illusions and these dogmas and these doctrines. We go on this mission to save the world, and we chase this false illusion of unity, peace, and love. Look, something I've talked about a while back. I haven't talked about recently. You want to know why all people won't get along and there won't be harmony and unity? Because we are tribal people by nature. Some blood just doesn't mix properly. This is why you can get in a room with a group of individuals and look at somebody and get a vibe. You don't even know them from yesterday to today, but there's a certain energy you just don't vibe with. That's that tribal war manifesting through the blood, because there's probably some tribal at odds that's running through the blood and the veins, and you're tapping into the connection. See, if we don't identify with the tribal aspect of our nature as one of the strong reasons why you ever try to get involved in any project, group, function, or gathering, why does it always go to shit? You ever always ask yourself, why does things always go to shit? Especially if it involves money. Then the gossip and the slander comes. All these shit starts to creep its way in. Why does that happen? Okay? It happens because of that tribal blood running through the veins. Okay? And it's confirmation on a spiritual level that there will never be a period where that illusion, that spoon fed to us via peace and harmony, and everybody's going to get, it'll never happen. That's step one in accepting moving forward and addressing certain things that you need to correct when it comes per se to scenarios like that. So it's all an illusion. All right. What else we got? So yes, you must take care of yourself first before you can branch out to any of those other areas. That's common sense. You would think it's common sense, right? But unfortunately, most people, like I said earlier, you can't teach common sense. You either have it or you don't. It's not something that can be taught. You can read 1 million books. You could study and master a whole bunch of different topics, but there's nothing on common sense that's going to help you with that. All right, so what else we got here? We got Relic Sirius from Australia. I appreciate that. Much respect. I appreciate that. And thanks for listening, tuning in. And again, if anybody wants to come in, just type in and I'll send you the link. You can come in, ask your question. You can come in live. All right. What else we got? Scrolling down. I'm going to skip some of the personal conversation. I'm just going to skip that. Okay, here's a good comment by T. Wells for president. The saber, yeah, mine got to be hot, especially if it's dealing with conditioning versus seeing how far the rabbit hole. And we're going to touch on, that's going to be the finishing folds on this. And that's the goal, to get to that saber mind. We all know what the saber-toothed tiger is and what it represents. There's a lot of symbolism in this, symbolism in that, and what it represents. The saber goes even deeper. That's on the surface level. So what again, I'm trying to show you with this particular system, the Sith path, and obviously you see the separation, right? The movie level of it is one thing. It does communicate and speak a lot of different things to the subconscious mind. I'm sure that's how we all got opened up and interested to it. But the people have taken this and taken it to a level where you can actually utilize it and apply it as a regular, system on your personal path, if you so choose. It's something that you can actually apply. But the saber mind, which we're going to go into, Sonny D, if you didn't see earlier, the book that I was coming from is the Sith Academy Masters of the Will. And I know some of you have emailed me and asked me in the room, where can you get the books? Unfortunately, they're not on Scribd or anything like that. You have to go to Amazon. They have all their books available on Amazon. Now, keep in mind, some are out of print. It takes a little while to get them. I'm still waiting for one more that they actually just shipped out. They have about 5 or 6, I believe, that are readily available in print right now. There's about 4 or 5 that are not available right off the bat. You can order them, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And I want to also make this clear, as I said in the beginning of the video, to make this disclaimer. I'm not promoting that I agree with everything about the organization of Sith Academy. I respect what they do. It's their choice. I do resonate and extract a lot of information I feel they have in their books that anybody can apply, whether they're part of that organization or not. But I want to make it clear, I am not a member of that organization. It's not really an interest of mine, but I am interested in a lot of their literature that they put out. There are some aspects of their literature that I don't really resonate or vibe with. I'm sure you'll figure that out when you go through it. But I focus on things that I think are very beneficial. So if you're interested in that work, just Google Sith Academy on Amazon, and the books will come up. And if you're interested in, and just again, whatever don't resonate with you, just disregard it. It's that simple, just like anything else of how we dissect and work with information and knowledge on this path. But I found there's a lot more beneficial things in there than not beneficial things, if that makes sense. All right. All right. All right. So we got here. All right. What did I do? This thing jumped on me again. How did I get way over here? All right. 1 second, people. Okay, here we are. Where's the book? Okay, so that's the book. I know a couple people had asked about that. Yeah, Andre Monik, if I said the last name right, he made a comment, weak-minded, moved to going without doing the homework and not having one's heart in it. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but I wanted to read that. When we were talking about earlier, do the work, make the preparations, get the awareness, get the knowledge before you jump into some work. Man, it was a good comment by Matthew Watson. For real, I was a nutcase till I got on this path. Like you said, meditation and visualizations are the best place to start, and they are. Look, man, people always ask me this question. You don't look. There are periods where you might want to go into a very deep, intense meditation, but you don't need to be. Get the benefits from meditation means you have to do these long, super drawn out aspects of it. If you stay consistent with it just for several minutes a day, that starts to grow and producing the benefits start to become, very, very, very frequent, and you're constantly aware of what you're getting from it. So I say that to say, in a nutshell, consistency. It could be 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Now, there might be some moments where you feel like going in extremely long. That's fine. Go with whatever your intuition tells you. But to get the benefits of it doesn't mean you have to do long, drawn-out periods of it. For one, because if you're forcing yourself to do it, it's a waste of time. But sometimes that shorter 5-10 minute meditation can be more beneficial than that 30, 45-minute long, hour drawn-out meditation. So understand that. I want to make that clear. All right?
Yeah,
Hey, Jack, keep it going for a second. I'm going to step away for one quick minute. Go ahead.
Sure.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I have to agree with Benini on that, too, when it comes to meditation. For me, I personally, there's times I do long meditations, but most of the time it's usually 5 to 10 minute 5 to 10 minutes top spent on meditation. Usually when it comes to a long meditation is after I do, what's going on, sister? That's after I do like a more of a chanting, right? If I do like a chanting ritual or whatever, I tend to do maybe 20 to 30 minutes, because I know after chanting, right, you kind of open yourself up, with the tones and vibrations. Your third eye is opened up, your certain chakras are opened up, so you're obviously going to get a lot more download information. But usually the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I'll sit, do 5-10 minutes. Sometimes I do before I even go to bed, right? I just lay down, and sometimes it depends kind of how I feel or where I'm at. Like sometimes I might just lay down and do meditation from that. And sometimes it depends. So you might do a meditation when you're sitting up and might not get anything. But you might do meditation when you're laying down and might get exactly what you need. So it all depends on you. Don't think there's no real right way of doing things. Again, you're your own leader, right? You're your own master. So you dictate that for yourself. But if you really want to get, as far as meditation, a good impactful meditation, I'll say is usually the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning before you go to bed. And also, if you can chant, you do some Om chants, There's other chants that you guess you can find that works for you that you feel like resonate with you. You can do that, and then go into meditation. And obviously the tones are going to obviously open up your third eye, especially if you're hitting the tones right. You feel the vibration in the nasal area. You're going to get an influx of thoughts. So that's one thing you should implement in your meditation as well.
See, my brother. No, it's not.
Uh,
No, but whatever Jack says, I agree with. I don't know what he said, but whatever he says, I'm down. All right. Anybody, before I go to the next question, anybody here in the room right now would like to add anything?
I would like to speak on meditation also because I do a lot of that.
Go ahead.
I would like to just speak on the fact that meditation is good, but meditating in the dark I found to be a good way for me to meditate. For one, because I work with, my own dark energy, which is my mind. I work with my mind. I find my mind to be like the only thing that's important right now, because that's what we're working with. This is what this path is about. To me, is really getting to know your subconscious mind, which is yourself, which is you. That's your abyss. That's where you go at night. You know what I'm saying? When you're meditating. So, like I said, I find meditating in the darkness to be much better because it's so, especially at night, because it's so quiet and it's so peaceful. So you can get like a lot of the things that you need to come to the surface for you. It'll come to you then because it's dark, it's quiet and your mind has time to settle down and you don't have a lot of the rhetoric and all this stuff going on in your head. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of helps to put that at ease. And two, if you have a lot of control over yourself, especially if you're on this path, because to me, getting to know myself a lot more or just, understanding my mind more has helped me to focus a lot better on that particular thing that, I want to change in myself. So the darkness is really what it's all about. And I believe that's why we were just spooked. They got everybody in fear of it because it helps you to heal. I do my best healing at night. Meditating to heal. I do a lot of chakra work at night, to empower myself and, heal these, the areas which, like in certain chakras. But I think the main work is with the lower chakras. So I do a lot of work on my root, sacral, solar plexus, all of them. But those are the main ones because it's where all of my indoctrination and bullshit is at. That's where it's stored at. So that's why I have to go at to bring all of that stuff up out of my subconsciousness so I can deal with it. So I just feel that, meditating in the dark is a good thing. And I think that once people get out of the fear of the darkness, it'll be once they get to know that the darkness is not fearful, they'll be able to meditate and get better results.
And there's two things I want to touch on that you said, and I'm glad you said this because the fear of the darkness and the fear, what the fear is, everything you were just saying. Well, when we back up even further, when you were talking about meditation, all of that to connect, your mind, you're connecting with your real self, your real emotions, the fear of that dark, right? And we've talked about this a lot before on, I've addressed this a lot on older shows. That fear comes from, it's like, go back to when we were kids, sleeping in the dark, being in the darkness. It's that fear, one of the unknown. But really, as we get older, why a lot of people like meditating in darkness and what we're talking about now, people, I've seen this before, and I know, Jack, you've been there for this. You can attest this, and some of you watching and listening can probably attest to this. We've done like rituals, group meditations, in pretty much darkness, and you sense people can't sit still. They fidget, they move around. Yes. It's that stillness, that quietness, that darkness, being just in that moment of just the fact that you're so aware of your existence. I'm not talking about on a physical level, and it's all the thoughts that start to come to the surface. it's fear. With that fear that they're feeling, I mean, you could call it when you were younger the boogeyman, something, whatever you're fearing. Really, what that's coming to the surface is really you, and the real you, not the fake you.
Exactly.
That's where the fear comes from. That's why people are afraid of the dark, whether they're conscious of it or not. They're
Right.
afraid.
That's what they call your so-called demons.
Mm-hmm.
Your monsters, and they are your monsters and your demons because you created them within your subconsciousness when you were indoctrinated into this fear-based system. So it's really just about the fear and or the fear of darkness. And we have to get out of that because that's who we are, really. We are the chaos. We are the chaos beings.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get out of that and start, getting into a whole different mindset, a perspective of who we are and stop, creating these false aspects of ourselves through with ourselves. We create false shit through other people too.
Right.
People that we see, we say, oh, they fake. That's why we can pinpoint them and know who's on what and who's not, because we have learned to deal with that stuff in ourselves too. So now we know how to, when we see that, we know how to deal with that, and we know who is who and what is what. And that's the key too. And like I said, darkness is your power. Yeah, even though it's been, plagiarized and stuff, and
That's
to
right.
make us, believe that it's something bad and evil and all this stuff. But really, that's your power. That's you. You are the power. So why be afraid of that? You should want to be powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like feeling powerless, not being
That's right.
able to do something. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Shit. Hell with that.
Those
Be
are
the
all
power.
good points.
You are the power. You know what
what's
I'm
interesting?
saying?
What's interesting, right? You say the darkness is power, right? But you said that when you meditate, in that stillness, some people, I've seen it, before, people sit in darkness and they can't stay still. They start fidgeting, or they feel like they gotta leave before you feel the anxiety in them, right? And with that stillness comes power, but that stillness is another form of awareness, which is knowledge.
Yes.
We look at the term knowledge is power, right? So it's just a new form of knowledge, which is inherently just an energy, but I think people are just not accustomed to it, so it throws them
Yeah.
off. But I agree with everything you're saying, but I feel like that right there is 100% true. Everything you just said is real.
That's it.
Thank you.
Good points. Good points. Good points. All right. Let's keep it going. If you guys got anything you want to inject, and if there's anybody else here in the room, here live, again, if you're muted, just put your camera on, get my attention, and I'll be more than happy to let you chime in. All right. I'm gonna go through some more of the comments, but I appreciate that from Baffa.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Matthew Watson. What are some? Okay, the next one. What are some books to teach you chant mantras, kind of like that Simple Source book you recommended a few months back? If you want to send me an email, I can give you a list. One, obviously, if you're working with Kali, the Kali Mantra Magic is a really good book. There's mantras for the Jinn. I can give you some books on that. Also, I like to use Sufi chants and mantras when I'm working Eastern mysticism. The heightened sense of group mantras and chants, and we utilize that a lot in the ritualistic work we do down here on a monthly basis. And those, and I know Jack's been in many of them. Obviously, Raven Hecker, brother Seth at the mic. He's not here right now. I know Maya V, she's still in here. She's been there. There's a certain tapping in and energy to doing that can take you to heightened sense of consciousness. It is a very powerful tool if you use it. But brother, send me an email. I can, for the sake of time, I can send you a list. There's a lot of shit out there, man. There's a lot. There's tons of stuff you can work with that. All right. What else we got? I'll try. I don't know if I have time to get through all this shit. I'm gonna try my best. Sister Yvette asked, do you recommend meditating, laying on your back while in bed? I do it. I like to actually lay on the floor. I personally, that's one of my favorite positions to meditate. And I'm going to tell you why. Some people like the traditional lotus position sitting on the floor. I tend not to really care for that position. That's just me. Some like to sit in a straight back chair. I'll use that sometimes, especially in my chamber room, because where I have everything set up, the floor is concrete. So it's not really a comfortable spot to sit on the floor.
Yeah.
But when you're laying flat on your back, in a bed. This is why you also, people that have intense dreams, the chakras tend to be all lined up. It's one of the most powerful positions to lay in and meditate, whether it's on a bed or I find it very effective on the floor. So the answer to your question, most definitely yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually recommended. All right. Matthew Watson asks, what does it mean when you start on this path and you're drawn to a certain deity, like the brother who was attracted to Kali? I was always infatuated with the healer of Norse mythology. Do we all naturally? Well, here's what you're going to find out. When you're finding you're gravitating towards a specific deity, the answer to your question is, one, analyze what that archetype of deity represents. And that's usually a telltale sign of what areas in your life you need to work on. So, for an example, we'll use Brother Tizza. His, or Taza, if I keep butchering his damn name. He mentioned working with Kali. Obviously, at that moment, whenever it was, and he was talking about it, he needed that Kali type of energy, that road clearing path of Kali clearing away those obstacles. That's what was going on at the time. And doesn't mean you can't go back to it and work with it anytime. But in relation to your question, if you're gravitating towards something strongly and you're looking past the like, you like it for a reason. But what you got to look at is the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is whatever that archetype, let's say it's Tahuti. Maybe you need to focus on getting your knowledge and your intellect up. Maybe it's Shango and you got to focus on a warrior energy. I'm just giving examples. It's usually a telltale sign that those are areas of your life that you need to address. Trust me, when you look again at the bigger picture. All right. And if Hela or Hela works, there's a connection there. Focus on what it represents, what that archetype is projecting via the symbolicism of the consciousness. And I'm sure it's going to connect to some aspect in your life. All right. Azazel, right? We talked about that, the one removed, right? Scapegoat, all these different terms. Remember, those are attributes that represent certain aspects of that particular archetype. Are they all the same thing? Yes and no. They're not all quite the same thing. We got to make sure we're clear on that. All right. I think we just got a couple more and then maybe we'll build for a little bit in here. I don't really see too much else. Okay, I'm sorry. Patrick Bateman, thank you for that quote. When I was talking about boiling the children and eating them, it's a story of Elijah when he's traveling about. Some kids mock and make fun of him, and you'll see it. Read the whole. It's just pure ridiculous for anybody to accept that nonsense. Look, the Bible mentions unicorns. Are unicorns real, or is that symbolic? I mean, the list can go on. We could be here talking all night about the fuckery of that shit. But thank you, Patrick. For those that are interested in looking what up I was talking about earlier, it's the second book of Kings, and now I see it. Chapter 6, verse 29. Read it. All right. And another good question by Patrick. What's your thoughts on using Latin with demonic working? Hey, that's very common. I will use it sometimes in certain workings because that's been a language that's been used in ritualistic occult. You can use whatever language you feel you got a personal energy connect. It could be English. It could be, I've used Arabic. I'll use a lot of Aramaic, and depending on the rituals. The eternal word of Set, when we did that ritual, for those that were there, that was a combination of a couple of different languages. And most of the ritualistic work we do, especially invocations, we try to keep it in one of the ancient tongues that's connected to the source of the work that we're doing. I personally think it's better, not mandatory. You can do it. It's because remember, it's always about your intent, your impassion, and how you're fueling that ritual. So that's the key. So, I mean, you could literally use any language you so choose, but I find when you use more of the older tongues, it adds more power, fire, and energy to the ritual. And we utilize that in the work we do here. So yes, if you're using the Latin with the demonic workings and you're getting results from it and you're getting a good vibe and it's making you connect on a certain level, power to you, keep doing it. I've actually used it, especially when you go into, if you use any ritual, either the companion, the satanic ritual book companion to the satanic Bible, in a lot of the first workings of the COS, which is the Church of Satan, they will use a lot of that in their workings. And when you look at some of those early formational years, and I think they're very powerful. Even when you go into the Book of Belial and look at some of the rituals in the Satanic Bible or the companion to the Satanic Bible, if you utilize that work in some shape, form, or fashion, which can be very empowering, because remember, we're dealing with the ad. Well, that's a whole other story. But yes, answer to your question is yes, most definitely. Sunny D, remind me of the drink. Again, I know you might have came in late. We were using let me show you the book. Hold on. I know some of you emailed asked last week, this week. It's the Sith Academy's Masters of the Will, the Dark Lords. All of their books are available on Amazon. You can find all their works there. They have several books in print right now. There's actually more than that. Not all their books are in print. You can order some of them. The wait time on a couple of them might be a little longer. Some you can get within a few days. But if you're interested, again, I want to make it clear I'm not a member of the Sith Academy. I do find a lot of their literature beneficial, and there's also stuff in their literature, obviously, I'm not fully on board with, but I don't focus on what I'm not on board with. I focus on what is beneficial and useful. But that's where the information I was coming from earlier. I would recommend people to check it out if they're interested in Sith doctrine and Sith philosophy. It's a lot of good stuff in there. No problem. All right, so let's come back. That's all I see in the chat, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to come back to you guys here live, see if anybody's got any closing statements. Anybody want to add anything? I don't know if you're still here, Taza. I don't know if there's anything you want to add. Raven Hecker, you still here? Fall asleep. Brother Jack, you still alive?
I'm here, man. All I have to say is
one time, bro. Come on, man. You gotta hit it for me one time before we go. Come on, just hit it one time. Turn the camera on.
nah, I ain't know that. But all I'll say is yeah, this is a great show tonight, right? I think you're giving out some good pointers as far as tapping into that Sith energy, right? And why I think it was good because it's very detailed, man. That's why I like why Left Hand Path. It's not like somebody say, hey, believe this. Is like you're gonna give out in this path. You're gonna give out information, right? You're gonna disseminate it yourself, and then you're gonna you come to your own conclusion. And I think that's what's powerful about Left Hand Path because you decide, you dictate what it is for you. So you're not like dealing with a preacher or imam or anything like that. Like you're your own.
Imam Muhammad.
Yeah. So it's like
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Islamic moment. My bad.
Yeah, so that's what's up, man. But that's my thoughts, man. Great show tonight. It was on point, man. On point.
No problem. Let's see if Brother Fireon, you got anything you want to add in closing? I don't know if you're still there, Brother Flamboyant. Fireon, you still there? Maybe you stepped away. Okay, man. I'm not sure what happened. All right, man. Can tap him, man. Could have stepped away. All right. Brother Duma, talk to us, brother.
Talk.
Let's see, Brother Duma. He's slipping, man. Oh, wait, hold on. We got Brother Flamboyant Fire on. Brother Flamboyant Fire on, we're getting ready to wrap it up. Anything you want to add in closing? I'm just going around the horn here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Hey, Brother B, did you see Nikki Bay's question?
Let me check. Maybe I missed it. It's possible. Oh, I see it up here. Yeah, it skipped on me. I see it now. Hold on. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, brother.
No
What's up, Duma?
Hey, Bethel, what's going on?
Brother Flamboyant, where do you live? Where you out of? If you don't want your location, you ain't gonna give us the exact location, but what state? Hold on, I can't hear you. Hold on,
I don't even know if he's in here.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. Yeah, he's in here, but I can't hear him.
California.
Oh, California. I hear you. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Is there anything you
Is there
want?
anything you want?
Oh no, I was just saying that was very, very interesting. Chat. We're talking wise and everything,
Okay.
Okay.
and I learned a lot. And recently, I started practicing candle magic and everything, and I don't know. Something about it keeps on. It grew on me and everything.
Well, hey,
Hey,
if that's
that's
a passion or
passionate
desire you have,
desire
just
you
keep
have.
rolling.
Just keep rolling.
I'm also very drawn to hoodoo
Mm,
and also demonology,
okay.
Okay.
and it's been a great experience I may add. Also, that a lot of times that I've learned a lot from your channel and what you had to say, and it's very helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate
I
that.
appreciate that.
I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Keep listening and
Keep
tuning
listening
in.
and tuning in.
If you got any questions, send me an email.
Send me an email.
Okay, I will.
All right. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brother Flamboyant. I don't know if that was his echo on that. All right. Maybe it was. He might have had a background noise. All right. Duma, you said Nikki Bay?
Yeah, it's,
I
hers
see it.
says,
I see it.
okay.
I see it. 9:59, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I'm sorry I skipped that. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I bypassed that. All right. And again, well, I guess, all right, I'll just read the question. I thought she was in here. All right. It says, if someone starts working with their ancestors, the altar and all, and it seems as if things start going downhill as far as financially, friendships, and emotionally, what could be the cause of this? All right. There could be a lot of reasons for that. All right. So let's reiterate this. One, and now if somebody came to me with that question and they were doing it, these would be the questions I would ask. One, we would have to analyze every ancestor you're acknowledging on that altar, whether you have pictures or names. One of the issues could be, and I'll go through this as quick as I can and as clear as I can. One of the issues could be you're connecting with a particular ancestor that may not be or may not have your best interest in mind. So we got to understand, not all of our ancestors that are connected to us by blood are really productive and beneficial for us, because some of our ancestors were murderers, killers, criminals. Some of them were very spiteful and hateful and jealous people. And sometimes when you set up an altar, remember, you got to look at an ancestral altar like an airplane would look at a landing strip at nighttime. It's a vessel and a porthole for them to make their way back here. And some of them have quote unquote unfinished business. They still have a connection here, and they can't make that. We know them as disembodied spirits, right? They can't make that transition because for whatever, there's something that happened here that left a traumatical impact on their mind. And it could be a vengeful energy that's keeping them here. It could be something they can't release or let go. And sometimes when you send that vibration and frequency out to connect, it could even be an ancestor you never knew, when they were alive. This could be an ancestral spirit that goes back generations that you never per se met. But remember, you're connecting with all your blood DNA, not just the ones you are aware of, the ones you are not aware of. So if things are running amok like that, it's more than likely you've connected with something that you probably don't want to connect with. So how I would address that in spiritual work, we do what's called a Igun ceremony. Some call it in Santeria a misa, where we bring the spirits down and we identify specifically what it is we're working with here. And what will happen is that, believe me, that spirit will come through. There's a certain system. When I say a system, there's a certain process, like we've done it. I know Raven Heck is here. When her father passed, we did something which is a little bit different than this, but the methodology is almost the same. When a spirit transitions on after X amount of time, you want to also if you want to bring that spirit down to communicate with them, they also have unfinished stuff that they want to communicate. So there's ways of going into detail and figuring out, but there's a telltale sign that you've connected with something that you just may not be aware of that could be running. My next question would be when you're asking a question like that, we would have to identify time frames. When exactly did this start happen? Because then we can identify, you can probably reflect on when you start gauging it from when it started and how it started to progress or whatever and got worse and started filtering out into other areas of your life. Then we might be able to narrow it down to something specific, and that might give us a working point. So there's many different things that can be done. It definitely can be addressed. You definitely can find out in detail what it is. There's rituals and things that you can do. I would, in a case like that, if I was working with a client, a case like that, I would have throw a certain. There's a certain way to do an Egun or a Misa ceremony where we want to bring. Let me give you an example so you understand. We would form a circle. We'd put you in the middle. You would sit in a chair, and there's things we would do to bring out whatever's around you, and it would be clear. And that spirit, if it is, let's say in this case, it's a particular ancestral spirit that is running amok, and they're using you as the vehicle to connect on this plane, we'd be able to confront that spirit, and we'd be able to, deal with whatever we needed to deal with, is what I'm trying to say. So if that's the case, now, maybe you could also be confusing this. I'm not saying you are, but you could be confusing this, maybe the timing of it. But if you're certain, echo. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it's gone. Yeah, I think Brother Flamboyant, I think you might have two devices on or headphones. You're getting a bad echo when you come in. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, all right, it's gone now. But it sounds like you're sure that this is what's causing it. So if that's the feeling you're getting, and it seems like you're pretty certain, what I was saying was I want to make sure maybe the timing of how something started at the same time you did that, and I want to make sure you're not confusing it with that because it happened around the same time. Let's just say, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. You seem to be pretty certain that that's what's going on, but that's the way you would want to address it. Now, if you wanted to address it on your own, let me give you that real quick. All right. If you wanted to address it on your own, you could, I don't know how you work with your ancestral altar, but here's a suggestion of what you can do on your own. How you work and address your altar on a regular basis. I would light a white candle, propitiate your ancestors like you normally do, and then make a specific statement. If there is any particular ancestral spirit that is, running amok and causing these problems, I command them to come forward and ask why and what's going on. All right. And it's as simple sometimes as just sitting there and listening for the response you get. Now, I've known people to do this, and what tends to happen is be careful because you do have such thing as specters. And specters and ghouls, some will call them ghouls, but they're really specters. They can shapeshift and take different forms, and they can actually tap into your thoughts or read your subconscious mind, and they can appear as you want them to see. Meaning, let's say it's a deceased grandmother. They can appear and look like your grandmother because you might be thinking about that subconsciously, or it could be your auntie, your uncle, whatever. Now, how you'll know it's a trickster spirit or a specter, as we like to call it, in dealing with spiritism, you would be aware, you would feel it. And when you feel that something is not right, it's as simple as making the statement and the command, I command you, spirit, to reveal your true self. And usually what happens is you see like it dissipates, and it'll take the form of what it really is. And then that's usually when you can address that spirit. I'm just giving you an example from things that have happened in the past. I'm not saying it's exactly this. I'm only going based on the content of your question. But there is ways to work with it. If you feel certain that that's happening, I mean, these are things that I do on a regular basis. Trust me. Don't trust me. Figure it out for yourself. But I feel what you're saying. It is possible. It sounds like that's the case to me based on what you're saying. It looks like you opened up a porthole and connected with something that's, gave them a way back in. So it's as simple as identifying it and sending the motherfuckers back and making it clear. Even though you might be my ancestor, I ain't trying to connect with that shit.
Okay.
I got my own shit to deal with.
Okay.
So hopefully that helps. All right, I think that ends the chat. So let me go through the horn again one time. I think we have left. We got I think Tazian might be busy. Duma, and then I'll go to Baffa and close it out.
I'm here, brother.
Okay, go ahead, brother. We're about to wrap it up. Hey, let me say this. I appreciate you definitely chiming in, and I know we've done a little bit of work together a few times, and I know it's probably not going to be the end of that work.
No,
But
not at all.
I definitely appreciate you tuning in, sharing your experience, and this is what I want people to start doing now, coming in and doing what we're doing now. But go ahead, brother.
No, I just want to leave it with, you got to face your fears. You know what I mean? If you scared of the dark, you got to get in the dark. If you're scared of the water, you got to get in the water.
You are the dark.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's it.
You'd be surprised what comes out of that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to deal with it.
Most definitely. Hey, but I most definitely appreciate it. And thanks for the input.
Absolutely.
All right, Baffa, what you got for us? And then I know Jack already went with Baffa, then we'll wrap it up with Raven Hecker if she's still here, and then we'll call it a night.
All right. I'll be listening to her on Thursday. But yeah, I appreciate the show as usual because, like I say, I'm a student. I'm still learning, and I probably will be until it's time for me to transition. So I love that.
Well, let's always say that. We're always a student, and I'm glad you said that. We're always a student in the sense we're not followers, but we're always a student because we're willing to learn, and that's important. So
Exactly.
we will always be students in that sense. But go ahead.
Right, but never a follower, that's for sure. The only person I follow is myself.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? I've learned to do that. And thanks to this information and all the other stuff that I have, gotten myself into to help me grow and to know myself. And I'm appreciative of that. So I just want everybody to understand that this, what they say about the witchcraft, the voodoo, or the science of self, get into it. Stop listening to what other people, just because they scary and they don't want to do the work, the research and all that stuff. That's what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't listen to what everybody else was saying about it. I had to, dive in on my own. And that's where I've been since. Okay. Hi.
Hallelujah.
Yo, Jack,
Okay.
come on, man.
Hallelujah.
Jack, this be a perfect time, Jack.
Amen. You know what I'm saying?
Hallelujah.
I had to dive in. I was like, hell with that. I need to know who I am, okay? Because I don't, So
Yeah, Jack, you stupid, bro.
Jack got me laughing.
No, but that's good. But no.
Laughter is very healing. I love it.
Right. You know me, man. I love to laugh and clown around.
You be having me wrong. I'm just gonna let you know. But I love it.
But no, that's a good point. And that's why I've been going in a little bit on the Hotep is. I'm not usually doing it, but I'm just
right.
I can't listen to that shit. Mm-hmm.
Woo, but yes, we need to recognize and stop being on all this scary stuff and this spooky stuff and just dive in there so you can get what you need to get to help you. Because otherwise, how you gonna get help? Ain't nobody out here gonna help you. I mean, you got to help yourself first. Don't get it twisted. Because once you start helping self, your other help, your spiritual help is gonna make sure you get all of what you need. Okay. Because I've been moving and grooving for 53 years and I'm good. Trust me.
Oh, shit. You just told
me. And I'm good because I have taken this path of myself. You know what I'm saying? To understand, to figure out, and to know who I am. This is why it's helping me to maneuver, and be good in this reality or in this realm. You know what I'm saying? I realized the difference of myself being a human form and being energy. You know what I'm saying? But I had to learn that. I didn't just know that off the top. I had to do the work. I had to do the research, which I'm still doing. And I will be continuing to do that. So I advise everybody that's listening, everybody that's typing in, that's in the chat, take heed, because this is some serious shit. It's not a game. At least it ain't a game to me. So I don't play with it like that. I go direct with myself, okay?
Hallelujah.
I go hard on myself, okay?
Cool. Well, that's most definitely appreciated, and that's facts. All right. All right, you got last word, Raven. We're gonna wrap this up. I think that'll do it. It's getting late.
I'm ready to start shouting. Hallelujah.
Okay, girl.
And the
You
Lord
like
said,
baptized.
hallelujah. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Right, stop clowning. You're gonna make me do the chicken dance in a minute. Stop.
You guys made my day.
Well, I'm
I'm
glad
not
we did.
lying. You made my day because this whole laughter really made my day. I was like feeling so much better now.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what's up. That's
Glad to hear
what's
that. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear it. All right, Raven Hacker, what you got? Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Okay, we got that echo back.
I think it's you, Flatboy. You got an echo. I'm gonna mute you. There we go. Yeah, it could just be background, or he might have two devices on. But go ahead, wrap it up.
Not a problem. Everyone made just great valid points all night. I like this type of platform where we all can just get on and vibe.
Yes.
And that's what we're gonna start doing.
This is good. I'm glad you're gonna start doing it.
Well, if you remember a few months ago, I did it with Jack. I don't know if you remember. But I was telling you that you gotta have two devices.
No, I remember you was telling me that. But anyways.
Seriously, wait, hold on. Seriously? That you gonna go that route? Anyway, go ahead.
We clown too much, y'all. We just clown too much. But it's a lot of fun and it's a lot of work. But again, I would like to say doing the work, true work, and when you're dealing with, even when Mike was just speaking on I said it, specters, you have to get yourself grounded. You have to be grounded. Bafa, she talked about working on those chakras. You know what I mean? That
lower chakras. Yes, yep.
Lower chakras. Okay, the lower three. Critical. Because that's where, if anything, specters or entities, whatever the hell you want to call them, can gravitate and pull and keep you in your lower self. So when you're hearing the voices or you're hearing the noise and the chatter in your head, you think it's you and it's not you. As to Brother Benitez's point is that they can tap into your mind. It's just so funny that question came up. I stepped away for a little bit because I was literally listening to something this afternoon on that exact point. And you can think that is you and you can become unhinged, literally.
Yeah.
So this you don't play with it. Do your research, learn. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's just not. It's okay. It's okay.
That's right.
Point blank is okay. Don't try to fit in because it's now the new in thing. Because it is. It's the new in thing. It's all over social media. You know, everyone's doing magic and everyone's making it look motherfucking
right,
magical.
but they ain't dealing with their inner self though.
Exactly. So don't be fooled by the Kool-Aid. Like, just don't be fooled by, like, you know, don't be looking at these people and these rappers as if they are, my battery's gonna go dead. But so yeah, everyone made great points.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone made great points, and it was just really cool to try to cut me out.
Ain't trying to cut you off.
To hear everybody.
I'm like everybody
The party line now, shit.
Dear God.
Okay. On the party line now, but yeah. It just really cool and great just to hear the feedback and to hear growth and to hear Bafa, because I remember from previous shows, I can feel it. I can detect
She got that rage.
I got that collie, baby. That's that. Hey, I don't play with
but it seemed like you got that rage more channeled now.
There you go. That's what I wanted to
Yeah, you still got it, but now it seemed like you got your control on it. You understand?
Yeah, I am. Thanks to you all. Yes, I am.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, but anyway, people, I appreciate it. Don't forget Thursday night. That's a topic. I want to see again you females show up, Sister Bath or any other females. Want to see you guys definitely chime in. It's a female topic, not exclusive female. I want the men to be here too.
I will be there, Raven.
Yeah,
Just make it like just females. It's a relationship. We talk
exactly.
about
That's what I
relationship.
just
That's
said.
right.
Yeah,
I like
males
that
too.
title. Yes.
So we'll be here Thursday night. We'll be live here on the YouTube channel, and we'll also be live on a talk show on the radio, Primordial Radio Chaos. Oh God, Primordial Chaos Radio. Let me get it straight.
All right.
You'll be able to watch it and see it on both platforms. So we'll be here like this, and we'll be on that platform simultaneously. All right, appreciate it. Everybody's getting late. Got to go. Peace, love. Appreciate
I'll
everybody.
be
Love
there
y'all.
on that next Thursday.
No, we're gonna be doing a show Thursday night,
This
brother. Live.
Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday. Okay.
Yes, you'll get the link if you're subscribed to the channel. You'll see it.
I can't wait.
No problem. We're looking forward to seeing you. All right.
All
All right,
right.
everybody. Good evening. Peace.
Bye.
Love.
All right.
Good night, everybody.